All righty. At least, at least that part of it seems to be happening. So, it's we'll just have to roll with that. That part of it seems to be happening. It's funny. When I got here this morning, traffic was good. My routine is in the mornings when I get started with the show is that I basically stop at this diner, I get a little something to eat, and then I bring it in here and, get everything kind of situated. And then I, eat a little bit and then start to roll. Yeah, I probably had more time this week today than any other day this week to kind of sit back and just get things together here. Everything was just going so smoothly. And then you start the little broadcast and, the whole thing just shuts down on you. So I'm wiping the sweat. I was sweating a little bit, wow. That's one of the things that each day something different happened. And that was it. Now it's kind of up and rolling. Seems like it's okay. From what I can see out there in the world to my left, seems like things are rolling okay. So I thank you for your patience. This morning, in fact, and I'm always promoting the show. I'm always talking to different people, trying to get people to watch us, trying to get people to give us some feedback. But before I get in that, just so you know, for those of you who are not on the We channel, who may be on other pages that I control, that I'm kind of broadcasting to, I want you all to come over to Facebook to The We 123. And that is where you'll be able to submit comments that I can look at and that I can see. And I can react to and post. And also, if you are brave enough, and there are a couple of guys yesterday who I didn't expect who clicked on, who are actually brave enough to come on the show. If you click on that link that's on the Facebook page on the We, then you'll go into what's called the green room. And in the green room, then I can bring you on and we can talk about whatever issues that we may happen to be talking about and whatever issues that you might be interested in. And to my friend Daisy out there, check this out. I got my cup. Great suggestion. As you see, I've taken it and followed up with it. So thank you very much. But this morning when I was kind of coming in and I stopped at the diner, because a diner, what I like about diners is they're open 24/7. At first, to get in here, I basically am on the road around 4. To get in here so I can kind of get things up and rolling and get ready to launch at 6. And, as you know, the Virgo personality in me, I say 6 or I mean 6, kind of thing. So I stop at the diner and there's a guy, and of course he's got his phone out, and of course he's got a Facebook page. So immediately I said, hey man, do me a favor. Can you search something for me? And I asked him to search The We, 123. Tell you how happy I am, because in the early part of the week, I guess we weren't as well known to Facebook. I mean, you could punch in The We 123 and nothing would come up. I'm telling people, hey, it exists. Try it again. Do something different, because I guess once you come to the page, as in my case, once you come to the page, it kind of comes up for you automatically that this is in what they call the cache or however Facebook does that. So it knows where to find the We. So that's really good. So as you share out the video and as you like our video, and I certainly hope you'll do both things, people will be able to find us who you tell about the We 123. That's our username. Our corporate name is just simply The We. We got a website we're developing called thewe.world. And world is really what it's all about. You see the map behind me. That's really what we're kind of focused on, reaching out to people all over the country. Next week, we'll have a young lady who'll be talking about fitness. So she's in Africa. She runs a fitness center over in Africa. We may have some others who are also coming on talking about health. But one of the things that I did want to ask your help on, and I'm going to be talking about this a lot more, is that on Monday, it's Martin Luther King Day. And on Martin Luther King Day, we're going to be doing a couple of broadcasts. My plan is to do this one where we kind of have this going. But later in the day, probably from noon to about 3, we'll do a special broadcast. Now, I've got a couple of guests lined up, like the great civil rights attorney, Donald Watkins, out of Birmingham, Alabama. But if over the weekend, you guys want me to hit some other people, give me some names. And I'm going to be asking a few times throughout the broadcast for you guys to suggest some names of people that I can speak to. Now, it's not like I can call anybody, but I can call a lot of people. So I got a pretty good Rolodex. So my past call a lot of people. But if you throw out some names, then I'll try to see if they're available that they can kind of tie into the show and do some reflections and kind of talk a little bit about Martin Luther King Day and some things that come to mind for them. And also, if you have some questions or comments that you'd like to give to them, that would be great too. So I'm going to be asking for you to do that. Still, the number one issue, I just keep seeing the story time and time again, is the flu. I'm sure everybody out there knows at least one person that has the flu, and you're probably trying to duck them as hard as you possibly can. I know that. I'm not trying to get the flu. You hear me talk about it. Whether you come into my office, I got the little hand sanitizer. I'm ready for you. Here, man, before we shake hands, before we do anything, let's take a couple squirts of this thing and, kind of get it together. And then we're all right for that handshake or whatever we're going to do, because I'm not trying to catch the flu. Even try to signal my secretary to have a little thing at the desk where if somebody wants to come in, hey, hold on for a second, squirt, squirt. Rub that thing together, because some of those pictures that I'm seeing out there of people who have the flu, that's pretty bad. It's killing folks, especially people who are challenged in a sense of either being young infants or older adults. I'm reading a baby who was misdiagnosed just the other day, dying of this flu. Not that I handle it, but I no need to go through it unnecessarily. So, in fact, this whole hand sanitizer conversation prompted me, and I mentioned it a little bit, to kind of look up, what are the top 5, the best, in my mind, most powerful hand sanitizers. Because when I squirt you with that thing, I want you to, kill all the germs on your hand. And then in my next bottle, I got a little lotion for you so you can kind of, take care of that too, because that stuff will make your skin dry. But what are the best ones? So I'll probably be talking about that, just putting it out there if you want to know. So if you want to get some hand sanitizer that works, who doesn't want stuff that doesn't work, then we're probably going to put that out there. Small thing, I know. But if it can keep you from catching the flu, then it's probably worthwhile, something that you do. As much as I try to have a diversified amount of topics that I talk about, it's kind of hard not to talk about Trump. Trump, it does so much. It's hard not to have conversation about him. Kind of been doing this thing that I'm doing here with Mornings with Nate. I like to talk about everything. I like to talk about sports. I like to talk about relationships. I'll talk about whatever. But because it's the whole two-way talk format where you can go to that page and kind of click on it. And the next thing you know, you're here on the broadcast and you're talking live and you're on the internet and Facebook along with me. So, that's the kind of format of the show. But wow, it is hard not to talk about Trump. At first, when they were coming out with Trump may be a little senile, or he may have some dementia going. I won't say he's demented, but had a little dementia going. I wondered about it because he seemed kind of the same. Admittedly, what is he, 71? And when you're 71, they say you kind of slow down mentally. I certainly know some very strong people well into who have better memory than me, but they're saying that Trump is maybe having some issues. But I really thought that maybe that was just people trying to take some blows at the boy, and I really couldn't see it until this latest comment. Apparently, they're trying to do something about the immigration deal. They're trying to do something where they deal with DACA and they deal with immigration generally. And they had a deal that was bipartisan that they were going to present to Trump, but they wanted to see if he'd agree with it in theory. So he says he seems to be going along with it, and then he finds out that the deal will include Haitians. And he says something to the effect, this is internet, so we can say kind of what we want. He said, why should we let people in from those quote unquote shithole countries? Come on, those shithole countries. What kind of way is that for a president to talk in front of people? Now, it's bad enough when you do it in front of your boys, okay? But to do it in front of people, a comment like that? And then further, I was reading here, I check the news every morning. kind of going back to what I used to do live news, but it's a lot easier these days. In the old days, I used to have to spread out every newspaper and kind of flip through it because I take live questions the same way, I'll do it now. Any questions you may have, live questions. And I didn't want to be caught off guard. So I would go through all the newspapers before I go on the air. But here's what Trump said about Haitians. He's saying they all have AIDS as well as Nigerians. He said he said would never go back to their huts. Nigerians would never go back to their huts. He doesn't see why we need to let these people in the United States. Now, that's kind of outrageous. You're going to say to a whole group of people that, and then he went on to say, if my memory serves me correctly, he went on to say that he preferred people to come into the country from places like Finland. Now, if that's not a cold-blooded racist statement, I don't know what it is. So everybody knows what people look like who are in Haiti and Africa, and everybody knows what people look like who are from Finland. And you're saying we should keep the people out from Haiti and Africa, and we should let the people in from Finland. That's cold-blooded racist. Now, getting back to, and by the way, one of the countries that has one of the highest AIDS rates in the world is Estonia. So Estonia, which is right, close to Finland, highest AIDS rate in the world. I don't see you keeping them up. They're fine people. I have nothing against them. But there's a lot of AIDS in Estonia. So the bottom line really is that, from my perspective, and looking at Trump's mental fitness, is even if you thought something like that, you'd have to be crazy to say it. So where before I was wondering if the man was having some issues with dementia or Alzheimer or something like that, I'm now kind of thinking that he might be. Because although you don't have to be necessarily crazy to have those views, I'm thinking that as a politician, as the leader of the free world in a public setting, you got to be crazy to say it. What good is going to come out of it? Maybe at some far corner of the United States and the globe, there's a small group of people going, right on, man, right on. But I'm of the view that even those people are kind of going, right on, man, right on. They're not coming right out with, we agree with you 100%. They're kind of hiding behind it, right on, baby, right on. But for Trump to come out so bold, I think it's beyond arrogance. I think the man may be losing it a little bit, because aren't you supposed to be a smart politician? And why would a smart politician who embraced those views ever say them in a public setting and expect anything good to come out of them? So I'm kind of starting to modify my view as to whether or not the man is there, all there, kind of based on his actions. And it's terrible. He doesn't have a Nancy Reagan kind of person to kind of. Of course, Ronald Reagan had Alzheimer's while he was in office. We didn't find out too much later. Of course, it went full blown when he left the office. But she was there to kind of cover for him, and he would listen to her. Now, I can't see Trump listening to Ivanka Trump. I basically believe that if she tried to kind of take over the way Nancy Reagan did, that he would resist, that he'd buck it. And that being the case, that would be something. The 25th Amendment of the Constitution says that the cabinet members can get together, and in a vote, they can take out the president just on their vote. You don't have to have an election. The Supreme Court doesn't have to act. All it takes are those cabinet members to come together under the 25th Amendment of the Constitution, and they can take the president out because he's not fit for office. Quite frankly, if this guy continues to do this kind of stuff that makes you think, well, why in the world would a sane person do that? These kind of comments, why in the world would a sane person, a professional politician, they say, oh, he's not a politician, he was a business. Well, he's a politician right now. Whatever he used to be, he's not that. He's a politician right now. And why would a smart politician come out and say something that no good is going to come from it, even if it's a view that you hold? So, I'm kind of looking at that, and that's in the news. And I spent a lot of time, not necessarily, what I call beating up on Trump, but just stating the facts as I see them. That this guy maybe doesn't have it all. you know. And if that's the case, well, maybe somebody ought to do something about it. First, start talking about it so we can get some help, and then maybe do something about it so we can get the next man up, the kind of next man off the bench. But, and then in the news, just in general, this whole thing, and going to the next Trump story of Trump declining to go over to the UK for this meeting and then blaming it on Obama. Man, when are you going to stop that? Why don't you just stand on your own stuff? You don't want to go, you don't want to go. They don't want you to go, that's fine too. If they don't want you to come and you don't want to go, fine. Well, why blame it on Obama? That sounds like it's a small move. How is a man, Obama must be a powerful kind of guy to not be the president anymore, that he's going to, keep you from going, blackball you from going? Why even bring him into your conversation? Just be your own man. Why even bring him in to the whole thing? But he seems to just any old excuse to do, instead of just saying, hey, look, this is not the time for me to go to UK. I'm busy on other presidential matters, things, what's happening in different parts of the world. I'm really putting some time in. So maybe in the future I'll go, but right now I'm not going to go, and just leave it there. But this thing of having to blame Hillary Clinton or blame Obama and this, that, and the other really makes you seem small to me. That you still giving this man all this power. I mean, there's certainly people in everybody's life that you don't necessarily like, and whether it's justified or not, but you don't continue to give them power over your life or make them the excuse of every negative thing that might happen. You just have to stand. That's what a man does. That's what a strong person does. You just kind of stand out there and say what you're going to do, what you're not going to do, and you kind of move forward. What do you guys think about that? Anybody up there? Oh, what do I see here? I see a comment that I didn't see before. Let me just see if I can get a hold of that comment and see what it is. Okay. Oh, wow. I got Alexis out there. Here, I'm just going to show that, Alexis. Just you're saying good morning. Yeah, good to know that you're up. Well, actually, there it is. Good morning from Alexis Coates. He was on the show today. Feel free to come on back, Alexis. Yeah, I'm going to be talking a little bit today about a variety of issues. And looking forward, Alexis is probably going to be doing some things himself here on the show with his own show. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he develops and what happens there. But, it's an interesting thing about Facebook. All of you guys know that are out there on Facebook know that you basically know when your friends are up. There's a whole list of things out there that show you that these are the people that are active on Facebook at any point in time. So you basically know who's up. Like Alexis, I knew you were up because at least if you weren't up, at least the Facebook thing indicated that you were active because you're one of my friends on Facebook, and I can kind of see it. Now that's kind of interesting too. Because I don't know if guys that just leave their Facebook channel open 24/7, and so it always appears that you're up, or if you're really up, like me. But when kind of looking at the show and thinking, well, I'm at 6 a.m. in the morning, I'm rolling till 9. Who's going to be up early? Who's going to really be interested in participating and all that kind of stuff? It is good to see that a significant number of at least my friends indicate via Facebook that they're up. Now, whether they watch, Morning Joe or Chris Como or somebody like that, or listen to the radio, something like that, I don't know. But I'm hoping that over time I can win you over, and that over time that you become a part of the show. Over time I can get you to say, it was one thing to listen to the same old people that are on Morning Joe. I like Joe Scarborough. He's cool with me. But the same old people, and look at Chris Como, same old people, even the elected official guests, kind of same old people. I like Chris Como. I think actually he's my favorite. But if you want to change, we're trying to flip that around. I mean, I'm the same. I come on, I'm the same. But I'm hoping that, different people will come on. And, Alexis was on yesterday with Granville, and others might come on. I'll bring you on the show and we'll do it. My friend, who we were having some challenges with the audio, Jacob Fortuny is going to come back next week. As I mentioned, I'm bringing some other folks, kind of testing this out. I got some folks from out of the country who are looking to come on board. And so we'll be testing that connection out actually later today. And so this, kind of this is our two-way talk. This is our chance to kind of talk about the news, get issues out there, and that's what I'm really hoping that we can do. So it's great to see you up, Alexis. Great to see. Well, first, I saw you're up because you're a Facebook friend, but then secondly, that you'd bring the comment in that you're watching. I really appreciate that. This whole thing of live Facebook Live is such a fantastic vehicle, and it's kind of an evolutionary vehicle. I don't know how many of you watch the great disc jockey and radio host Tom Joyner, but he's announced that he's going to retire. And in my mind, it's kind of a transition. And Tom Joyner was known for many, many years as they call it the Sky Jock, because he would jet from coast to coast to do his radio show. Well, now that's kind of not necessary, with the technology that exists today. As you can see, we can bring in people from all parts of the country, all parts of the world. So to the extent world, you don't have to physically go there. You just have to kind of link into that person. And that's a real evolution. Anybody, I would love to kind of, step into a Tom Joyner following and beyond that to kind of take it and kind of go to the next level with it, because he's been such a powerful figure in media. In fact, I don't know how many of you know it, but way, way back when Tom Joyner did his first cruise, you hear the Tom Joyner cruise, our company was the sponsor. Yeah, the Chapman Company was a sponsor. Now, I'm going to speak very plainly what that means. I don't know how long ago it was. Maybe 20 years ago. He's done like 20 of those cruises or something like that. But back then, it was a new thing. Kind of Tom Joyner's going to do a cruise. It wasn't a sure thing that it could be a success. So when they approached us, and we were talking about negotiating it, I always like to talk, what does it mean? I don't know what it costs today. But back then, 20 years ago, it cost us like $120,000. And we got, I think, a few tickets. Some of our people went on the cruise, and then I would come on the morning show with Tom Joyner and kind of talk to his people. Back then, he had a number of different people. Some have passed, but there's this one I don't really remember. I think her name was Miss Tony, and he'd say, "Your son, you got the gift, and you got to use it." I still like that. But my point is, he's going to retire in a couple of years, and to me, it's kind of symbolic of the transitioning of media. So we're going to be doing some things that couldn't even be thought about a few years ago. And there's so much new content. And again, if for those of you who weren't listening, Monday, Martin Luther King Day, there are a lot of things that are closed. A lot of people who are going to be home and available. So we're going to actually definitely do two shows. I'm going to come in and I'm going to do this show where we talk and we kind of go back and forth. And I, try to encourage you to kind of become a part of the show over time. And we're going to do a special broadcast starting at noon. And on that noon broadcast, so far, as a guest, I know my friend, famed civil rights attorney Donald Watkins out of Birmingham, Alabama. He's going to be on. But I'd like to hear from you guys of some other people who I could invite. And, I know a lot of people. I've been around for a little while and so on. And, most people I can get to. I shouldn't say it like that. But most people I'll attempt to get to. How about that? That's a better way of saying it. And so if you've got some ideas or thoughts of some people that you'd like to see me bring on the broadcast to celebrate Martin Luther King's Day and to talk a little bit about issues, let me know. Put it out there in the comments. Send it to me on Facebook, and I will look at it and see if I can get any of those folks to come on at the last minute. You say, Nate, we book our stuff 6 months in advance. You call us. I say, well, that's what I do, and I'm last minute like that. No, I'm not last minute. That wouldn't be a true statement. But hey. We have to react quickly in this world. This is, you can't just have everything fixed. This is a live TV, and we're trying to make it happen. So if there are any folks out there who you'd like to see me bring on, and maybe I should just extend that just in general. If there's some other folks that you'd like me to bring on, just in general, let me know. And I'll try to reach out to them and see if they're willing to come. Which is what I've been doing to a lighter weight degree. To be honest with you, this week, our first week, I've been trying to see how things go more from a technical perspective. As you see, we've had a few technical glitches here and there. that we've worked through and we figured out, how to solve them. And so, my thought was at least that before we go really big time, with, hitting out, even more followers and hitting out some other people, that, we work out some of the technical glitches, because this is all new stuff that we're doing. There's no one out there, and that's kind of hard to say, but there's really no one else out there on the net that's doing this right now. And I would say the reason for that is that the technology is difficult. It's not like one what to do what we're doing with the split screen and multiple platforms and all. You just can't do with one piece of software. It basically takes several computers working together to make it happen. So that's why you will get those technology or technological glitches. It'll just happen. But you just have to kind of work through them. And that's what we've been doing. And I thank you for working with me. People would tell me when you send me a note that I can't hear your guest talking. Oh, who else do we have? We got a second comment. Let me see. Let me see here who this is. Okay. I've got Daisy saying good morning. Daisy, good morning. Hey, Daisy, I'm glad you came on. You see my cup? This was a Daisy idea. Need to have a little cup, a little cup prop. There's actually something in it that I'm drinking. It's not just pure prop. But thank you, Daisy. Normally, I might have a little cup of coffee or something like that, or anything. Maybe a little energy drink. Not so much the stuff with all the coffee in it, the high potency coffee, but I mean something like a fruit drink, something like a tomato drink or something like that. To kind of get you going, get your metabolism going, and all of that. At least that's my thought. But this was Daisy's idea. And going forward, we will be doing some cups that say the we or morning with Nate, and trying to develop that. For those of you that saw the beginning of the show, we had a little graphic, and the graphic had a sun and morning with late, and then the picture beside it was actually a picture of downtown Baltimore early in the morning. Because when I leave, the sun's not even up when I kind of come in here. So that's an early morning kind of shot of Baltimore. And we kind of represent a little bit, Baltimore. Because you see pictures, Chris Como and all those guys, they show the New York background, DC background. So I thought I'd throw a little Baltimore, a little be more in there for the folks here to see and might recognize. In fact, I throw the picture up right now, but it might just kill the broadcast. But the picture actually was where the First Chapman Company office was located, the building to the right in the picture. You'll notice it tomorrow. I'll do it again because normally, not tomorrow, but Monday. I won't be broadcasting tomorrow. Saturday and Sunday, we're off. We're Monday through Friday. We're going to do that special double broadcast on Monday. I'll continue to talk about. But, oh, yes, you see it. I got it here. You see? Yes, you see it. You see my cup. It's not actually, I've kind of, it's my cup now. It was in the kitchen. And I won't be taking it back. I'll be leaving it here in the studio. Just joking. But but it does help because we talk straight for 3 hours. And hopefully it won't be talking straight. There'll be some others who'll join us during the broadcast. You do need to kind of wet your whistle a little bit. And this is a great idea. Thank you again, Daisy. With this, for those of you out there who follow sports, I don't know if you saw the Lakers versus the Spurs last night. Be honest, I'm in here kind of late, so it's rare that I see the end of the game. I was talking to a friend, and he'll ask me, "Hey, Nate, did you see that game or that game?" And I said, "Maybe I saw the beginning of it, but I normally don't see the end of it." When you're getting up at 3:30, 3:15 in the morning to make it in here, you pretty much, you fall out just to try to get those 8 hours in, which for me is still tough, given my schedule. But that game, which I read about this morning, was kind of fantastic with the Lakers and the Spurs. Lorenzo, I always mispronounce his name. Ball, can't mispronounce that. He really came to play last night, and those young Lakers defeated the Spurs. I thought that was just incredible. I think Alonzo, I think he had like 18 points or something like that. Hey, if any of you guys saw the game and have some comment on it, what you thought about his performance, because I've heard that most people say, and I shouldn't say most people, the people that I've talked to, they kind of think the ball guy's overrated. You know, he's not like the young Magic at all. But last night, 18 points in a professional game. Anytime you can do that, that speaks for itself. You know, you must have something, because you're playing against the best basketball players in the world. You score 18 points. That's all right. So let me know what you think about that. And let me know what you think in general about what's happening in this, whatever place that you want to talk about, whether it's sports, as I said, relationships, whatever idea. This is social media two-way talk. And which is why we have the technology that kind of lets you two-way talk with us. You know, a lot of times, I have my guests and, they kind of talk and we talk, and that's fine. We try to make sure we diversify people, especially next week. This being our first week, kind of testing out things. Not as many people. You kind of had to endure me talking. But next week, more people involved, more guests, more folks that I can kind of persuade to get up and be presentable at 6 a.m, which is a challenge because, this is, hey, you got to show your face. But you don't have to show your whole face. Your phone, you can kind of cut it so it only shows one part of you. You got to zoom it. Yeah. So if you're not quite 100%, I noticed my good friend Granville, I don't know if you're out there, but you're like full blown in the suit. Yeah, I said, but maybe he was just headed into work anyway. But you don't have to feel like you're full blown and put your tie on and all. I got mine on. That's kind of the way I roll. This is how I have this on every day. Yeah, even when I wasn't doing the show, this is kind of my look. My little sweater when wintertime and all that kind of stuff. But you don't have to feel that way. I mean, if you come and you look kind of messed up, that's okay. We'll put you out there anyway. For many folks, if your hair's not quite done or if you're taking a shower and you're holding the phone, I mean, again, I have to say, and many of you have heard me say, a few more comments. Let me see if there's any more I can bring on there. Let's see here. Any of those live comments? Okay, who we got? Oh, that looks like kind of a repeat there. That looks like a repeat. Okay, yeah, I think we got all those. But here are the rules coming on air. No pornography. At least it's going to get on the air. I may watch it for a little while, but I'm not going to put it on. I'm not in this joke, and I'm not going to watch it. And you can't come on the air doing anything vulgar. My best example, you can't come on there giving me the finger. You thought I was going to give you the finger. No, I'm not going to do that. But if I see you in the green room just sitting there giving me the finger, I'm telling you, the chances of you coming on live are not good. Okay. So, barring things like that, you can come on and we can chew it up. We can talk about it. And we can just go into whatever issue back and forth. Yesterday, we talked a lot about business. And, that's to be expected because, my background, strong business background. I guess if I was a doctor, we talk a lot about health, although I'm, certainly given my some challenges I face, I feel I can talk about health too. And but most people know me for business. In fact, 5 o'clock next week, I'll be launching a little show that it's called Chapman Means Business, and then inviting some people. Back in the day, we used to have this show called Wall Street Week with Lou Rukeyser, and of course, Lou Rukeyser has passed. And the show Wall Street Week has gone through a number of different hosts. But, I kind of see the social media side of that. Since so many people know me for business, and when people are always saying, well, Nate, you ought to do something for business, I react to my people. And, okay, Chapman Means Money is going to launch at around 6 o'clock next week. 6, I think it's 6, 6 o'clock. We'll be coming back to you on that. We'll be doing the same thing we're doing with this, experimenting, trying to bring in financial professionals, people who can talk a little bit about a market and what's happening in the market. There's a lot of money that's been made in the market recently. There are people who are trying to figure out, is it over? There are people like the great Bill Miller, who I'm hopeful having on the show, from Miller Value Trust. He has forecasted, he was on that show Mad Money the other day, saying he thinks the market is another 30% rise. It'd be interesting to know what he thinks because he's been a fantastic investor for so long. So, we talk a lot about business and money, but I don't want anybody to think that's all we can talk about. Because if you want to talk about anything, swimming, heck, we can talk about that too. Because heck, in my time, I can't really say I'm all that great a swimmer right now, but in my time, folks kind of knew that I was a pretty decent swimmer. Not so much fast. I was an endurance swimmer. Which is why I think we talked a little bit about how I'd done a couple of triathlons, which have you got to be able to swim a mile in the open water, which quite frankly, when I first started that, triathlon is you swim, come out your bike, and you go onto your run. And we talked a little bit about that. Now, the biking part, no problem. The running part, no problem. But initially, when I thought about swimming a mile in the open water, not in the pool where I can kind of grab the side or something like that, but in the open water, quite frankly, that was something that I had to think kind of twice about. Because I had gone to a couple of triathlons and I saw people who didn't make it. Of course, most people made it, but the ones that didn't make it were kind of discouraging. They start off and next thing you know, they're holding on to one of the help boats, being brought in. And then you never know what the weather's going to be. They do those things if it's freezing cold or raining and all the rest of it. But I made up my mind. I'm going to become a swimmer. And so I did what I'll normally do. And if anybody knows what that is, I will say it again. I took a course. It is a thing I do when I want to learn anything. I take a course. And so I took this master's course in swimming, and it was really quite interesting to kind of teach me some technique. But just like so many things in life, whether it's live streaming or other things, you can't learn to ride a bike by reading a book about it. You got to get on the bike and ride. And so that, in a sense, that's what we're doing with this whole live streaming two-way talk show that we're doing. Same thing with swimming. You got to get in the water and you got to swim. And so over time, I grew to love it. Well, not at first, because I didn't have it down and out of shape and all that. But because swimming shape is different than being in shape to run. So got together where, heck, I could probably swim 2 miles, easy, 2.5. It started me thinking of bigger things. One of my things on my bucket list, in fact, is to do an Ironman. Before, I hit kick the bucket, but, it takes a significant amount of time to do. But, one day, get that Ironman. I don't have any tattoos, but I might put that Ironman on my shoulder if I get it done. The Ironman symbol to show that I completed it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'll take it that far. But my point is that we'll talk about anything. So if you are out there and you're ready and you've got some thoughts and things that you'd like to put on the table, some of my friends that I see that are online, they got this notice. And that's kind of the other thing. When you go online, live broadcast, initially people get a notice, hey, Nate's live on Facebook. He's Facebook Live. And that's great. People know that you're out there. I'm hoping that people will know that we're here because we're telling anybody who shows up that sees us do this, we'll be here from 6 to 9, 5 days a week. So whether you get the message or not, we're going to be here talking and raising issues and interacting with the public and looking for your comments and all the rest. We're going to be here from 6 to 9. Now, having said that, there is technology that every hour or so let's say we're doing it 3 hours, and maybe you got the message during the first part that, because the message goes out in the early part, hey, he's on live. But then time passes, that's it. No more message. As long as I stay live, no more message. We might just remind people maybe at the top of the hour, hey, he's still live. If you want to catch him, he's still live. And then over time, the whole goal is to bring more people in to watch, and the more subjects that we can exchange, more people who are willing to come online and to talk to us, talk to the world. Because quite frankly, my friends all over the world, they share their comments that they've seen me and that, thanking me and congratulating me and so on for making this move. And there's so much that I know that we can add to what's being said. And I'm hoping that this might be a vehicle to bring us together as well. The Jacob, who attempted to come on yesterday is one of my MIT friends during the time I was there. And so some of you who are watching me, one of the things that's kind of funny, I mentioned this morning that I had more time than usual to get the show started, because sometimes, man, I'm trying to get this thing started. It's almost 6 o'clock and I'm like, it's almost 6, like 2 minutes to go. I'm still getting these computers rolling. But today it wasn't like that. I'm sitting here 20 minutes to go, 15 minutes to go, plenty of time. So I decided just to start inviting people. I went in and if you got an invite from me this morning, that's why, because I had more time this morning to kind of physically go through. And I'm hoping some of you accepted the invite and now you're listening to me on the We channel. And if so, give me a comment. Oh, here we go. We got Derek. Yeah, let's put Derek's comment. He's saying good morning. Now, Derek's going to have his own show next Thursday, Derek Burnett. And Derek is coming on at, I think it's 7. You have to correct me, Derek, if I'm wrong. But he's going to be doing some interesting stuff. His first guest is going to be Donnie Glover, who has his own show here, the Donnie Glover Show. And they're going to be talking about cultural issues and other things. So, Derek, thank you for giving me that good morning. And looking forward to your show and watching you do your thing. And this is all very helpful. I mean, Derek was extremely helpful in helping me with my audio and sound, kind of making sure I could hear questions and all of that, because at first I couldn't. Technology, I wouldn't even go into what was necessary. But it was a few steps to correct it so that now, if you come online, okay, his show is going to be called the Culturally Conscious Narrative, CCN. So look forward to seeing Derek. Derek's a great guy and someone who has a tremendous background in cultural issues. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he brings to the We, because the We is about all of us. And that's really what we want to bring, regardless of your race, your sex, your religion, your sexual orientation. We're probably going to be sliding out some parts of the We for programming, for content that will involve you. The We is going to be like the world, a little bit of a lot of things. The 6 to 9 slide is kind of what I do. Nobody really wanted to fight me over that one. Getting here 6 to 9 in the morning, that was kind of available. Nah, I'm just joking. This is really what I wanted, to come on early in the morning and talk. I'm hoping I could, I jokingly say, no Morning Joe, no Chris Como. We're going to watch Mornings with Nate and let that go. I may even try to bring Chris Como on the show. I don't know if he would, but, who knows? You never know until you ask. But, some of the issues that if you guys like in the news or weather, this morning in Baltimore, it was when I came in, it was pouring down raining and tremendously foggy. So that won't stop me, though. The ice stopped me. Yeah, but that won't stop me the next time because I got my de-icer. And I'm going to not let that stop me the next time because the show must go on. That's the Virgo. The show must go on. So, I even checked out a couple of hotels that were near here. Let us know. I'll be staying walking distance because the show must go on. So, just joking. I'm not just half joking, really. But so, real excited to see Derek and doing his thing. When you look at live TV, one of the folks that was a pioneer here locally in it was our former Congressman Kweisi Mfume. There was a show, Two Way Talk, that I used to appear on in my younger days, but it was all 100% radio. And there's some people who say our voices are so close that they couldn't tell when one was talking and the other was talking. Kweisi has a deeper voice. You might know him when he was a congressman, also headed the NAACP for a number of years. But really that format is what we are evolving today in the social media realm. And the hope is that you will participate, not just, and we want your comments. I love these live comments that I can kind of put on the line and elevate, but also would like to get some of you to be brave enough to click on that link, because the way you'll get on the show is you go to the We page, and my username on Facebook is the We123. The We123 with no spaces. And there's a link there that I put on every morning, 5 days a week. And if you click on that link, Boom. You go into the green room here. I will see you. And then from there, as I said, we can determine that you meet the standards that we talked about. Again, no pornography, no giving me the finger. And then we'll bring you on board. Now, Derek's got a comment here. He wanted me to talk a little bit, as you can see here, about how they put the lady out on the bus stop at the University of Maryland Medical Center. Derek, I quite frankly, there was a situation here where a woman went in for treatment within the University of Maryland system, where she was out of Baltimore, Maryland, and she ended up being put out of the hospital and put on a bus stop. And I guess denied treatment. Now, Derek, if I'm wrong, click that link and come on and correct me. But I find that shocking. For many years, I was on the board of the University of Maryland system. And I can tell you that, especially when I was on the board, and I suspect that it's pretty much the same way now, that patient care was kind of number one. We talked about that. That was really the issue. Whatever was done at some lower staff level, some other decision level, it was not the will of the board. I believe that because the people who make up the board just simply want to do the best they can for healthcare through the University of Maryland. Nobody's getting paid. Everybody's a volunteer. So I'm just shocked that something like that could happen. And having said that, there does need to be some accountability. Somebody needs to pay the price. You made a decision, it was not the right one, and it could have caused some serious damage. So my hope is that someone will be made accountable of that. And where the University of Maryland is a system of hospitals, so they take that individual hospital president and they kind of hang him out to dry. But I do think that there should be, even more accountability. I would not want to see the president lose his job over that, but maybe someone who made a more direct decision, because quite frankly, the president didn't even know anything about it. But maybe someone else, they ought to, pay some price. I hate to see anybody lose their job, but, doctor pay a couple of days or something. What do you think about that, Derek? Let's see. Now, Derek's got the comment here. He says that they put her out with a gown and socks on. It's kind of cold. You not only do you leave the hospital, but all you have to wear is like the hospital gown and some socks. That's kind of cold in a number of ways, because it was kind of cold outside. It's a cold thing to do. It was cold temperature wise. So, I really can't speak to how something like that could possibly happen, Derek. In this day and age, that they would just simply put a person out, even a homeless person, even some person with some mental challenges. Treating them that way is just not right. And again, somebody should be made accountable for stuff like that. And certainly there needs to be some training in what to do in situations like that going forward, because maybe it's a lack of systemic training within the organization, that the person thought that they were trying to be funny, or maybe the person who was put out, they didn't seem like the kind of person anyone should worry about in the minds of whoever the hospital official was. But there needs to be some training on what we do in these kind of circumstances, so people aren't left to their own devices, their own sense of what they think they should do, that there's some hospital policy. So my hope is that this might help. Not just the University of Maryland, but Hopkins, hospitals all over the country who read this story and say that we don't want to get caught up like this. If a circumstance like this happens, this is how we ought to deal with it. And if that's the good that can come out of it, fortunately, as far as I know, the person who was put out of the hospital, they're still, in decent health. And correct me if I'm wrong on that, because I just saw that story in passing. That's kind of a local story. So Derek, you feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on that particular story. But and that takes us to kind of the larger issue of healthcare that we like to bring up, talking about healthcare issues, whether it's immunizations. We touched on that with the flu vaccine the other day. There's some people that think immunizations cause birth defects. There's certain people who avoided getting the flu shot because they didn't have any confidence that it would actually work. which, given the statistics, there may be some truth to that as to whether or not this particular flu shot addressed the flu that's going around. But healthcare just is a broader issue. We hope to invite coming up some high-level health professionals to talk about everything from cancer to issues that involve infant mortality, the whole range of issues in healthcare. Just so you guys out there and ladies will feel comfortable, just expressing your opinion, and then through that way we can try to make things better. So, Derek, thank you for that. I don't know if I addressed it fully as much as you would, but that's something too that your co-host, your guest, not your co-host, but your guest, Donnie Glover, on your show when that happens, that I'm sure he'll talk about even more. One of the things you hear me keep drawing the parallel to is the Morning Joe, and I kind of like Morning Joe. But one of the things that I like about how he does his show is that almost everybody on his show has their own show. And so as we get guests here who seem to have some interest to you, and that that you guys express an interest in following, we may cut out some content time where they can have their own voice. So just like in the Morning Joe situation, where it seems like every person on that show has his own show, you may see the same thing among our guests here. Derek is someone who appeared on my show, and now he's doing his own thing. So we kind of like that. And same thing with Alexis. Alexis, if you're still out there, he'll be doing his own thing on the network. And him and Granville, his partner, will be doing their own little show on the network. So that'll be happening. So you'll see that too. But a lot of you have a lot of influence over that. What you tell us that you're interested in, the topics, the people, your response, views, and we like you to share this show as much as possible, like it as much as possible. I mean, refresh your screen and like it again. No, I'm just joking. But what we want to, listen to you. So if there are people who you think that you'd like to see in this kind of venue that you think would be good, put some names out. And we're happy to talk to them, because this is a different type of situation. This is a different type of being able to reach out to you. We would like to have someone, we're looking at some content where we just talk about family, all kinds of families, some single families, the families that are still living together several generations, and kind of talk about that a little bit, the challenges of family, the challenges of relationships, the challenges of coming home from incarceration. All those kinds of things are things that we need to talk about a little bit and to put out there. We speak about trying to make this union better. The Constitution speaks to, in order to perfect, to make perfect this, or in order to perfect, to make this more perfect union, something to that effect. Bottom line is that we're still working to get to perfection in the Constitution. And that expresses itself by us kind of all working together, helping each other to make each other better, so we can help make this perfect union. At least I think I got that part of it right. That's in the Constitution, that even our founders knew that was an evolutionary process, because what existed in their time is so different today, not just technology, but just what people think and the type of people that are here. But it's an ongoing thing to perfect it. Heck, it is something as small as this show. It is an ongoing thing to perfect that as well. I'm looking for some comments. Who's going to be brave today? Alexis and Granville clicked on yesterday, and they were a part of the show. On those days that I haven't arranged in advance to have a guest, which I explained why earlier. For those folks, I think any more comments here? Let me check the comment place here. It doesn't seem like there are. Okay. Yeah, we got the live comments, but nope. I think we're still at the same level of comments we were before. Come on. Some of you guys, you can just give me a shout out or bring something up. We're other part of the world. We had a lot of local situations. So happy to talk about that. But what's happening in other parts of the world with you guys want to talk about robotics, deep learning, whatever, we can kind of touch on those kind of things. Some of you are at your jobs, watching the show on the phone, talk about some of the issues in human resources and or whatever you might talk about your business. You want to come on and do some of that. We're happy to do that. We'll talk. Facebook limits you. You can't just do commercial after commercial, or they will put you in handcuffs. Facebook lock up or really lock out. Because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to sell ads. So they don't want you to kind of come underneath them and maybe you can get paid for selling the ad. No one's paid us, but that's not really even the show we're trying to do. We're not trying to do something that just pushes ads or anything like that. We certainly will mention products that we think are helpful. And we certainly will probably have sponsors and stuff like that down the road. But that's not really the purpose. I'm hoping that I can encourage you all to be a part. Just like, I remember the old days, the old two-way talk days, or even, speaking of advertising, one of my favorite sports shows, and I won't call it out, but it seems like whenever I listen to it, it's on the radio, it's like 5-minute sports and 15 minutes advertisement. Oftentimes when the advertisement comes on, I turn it because I know it's going to be another 15 minutes of back-to-back ads. And I really don't like that. I like talking sports. I like hearing the opinions of some of the sportcasters. And then they have their little form of two-way talk as well, where they allow people to call in and talk about what happened in the game, what they think about a particular team and all that. Which I think is all well and good, but it's just too little of it. That before you know it, they launch in. If they don't directly launch into a commercial, they're doing the commercial. So it's just too much for me, commercials, and it's kind of turned me against listening to it in the mornings, because it's just too many commercials. What do you guys think about that? Oh, plus, let's see what we have here. Let me put your thing. Put your comment up there. And get you, I'm real happy to see that you're up. Plus is asking, what are your thoughts on addressing the disparaging wealth gap with real estate home ownership? Baltimore seems to have enough inventory, blighted houses to work it out. Well, there is a wealth gap. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And it really, to me, it undermines our country. It undermines the security because, we have to, there people are just not going to be broke, and and it's not just simply people who are broke, but people who are working several jobs and still not covering, all of their expenses or just barely covering it. And when you got so few having so much, that is what leads to revolution. People are just not going to see you driving up and down the street in a Rolls Royce while they're trying to figure out how they get their kids something to eat. It undermines our democracy. It undermines our economy. And I definitely believe something has to be done about it. And I think it's got to be dealt with in just those stark terms, because people who don't see an opportunity to move from a lower level, at least into the middle class, a level of subsistence, and they see so few doing all of these crazy things. The only the wealthy can do that. There's absolutely no doubt that it's something that needs to be addressed. And here in Baltimore, we have a tremendous number of boarded up houses. And I've often thought that we should give encouragement for our public servants, our law enforcement, our firemen and all. I mean, just give them a house. And because they're sitting empty right now, and if you agree to live there for 10 years or something like that in some of these neighborhoods, just simply give them a house so we can start to build a community. What's wrong with that? And for other people, other professions we like to keep here. We don't want people to go to their medical school, dental schools, and other places and just leave town. Why not give them a scholarship, give them a house to let them stay here, to take some kind of real aggressive action to deal with the boarded up houses, because it is terrible. Here in Baltimore, it's just too many of them. Plus, I wouldn't mind hearing your thoughts. I mean, feel free to click on that link, and I will bring you on board, and we can just hear what you have to say. It's kind of bad to see what Baltimore has become from the boarded up housing perspective. But I believe it definitely is something that can be dealt with. And maybe I can get the mayor to come on down the road and kind of talk to you about that. Kathy is doing her best, in my opinion. Kathy Pugh, who's our mayor here in Baltimore, and there's so many other young mayors throughout the country. I wouldn't mind getting some of them on just to talk about issues and have you, the people, be able to talk to them about issues as well. But also, plus, thank you. It's good to know that you're out there listening. This two-way talk format only works when people like you and others, kind of come in. Otherwise, you just hear me talk. Now, I know there are people who say I can do that. I've never really thought about it like that. It's just expressing your opinion. And just talking, because I actually enjoy listening more than I do talking, because you get to pick up so much more, listening than you do talking. But at the same time, to a certain extent, I'm a news junkie. That I'm constantly. I guess I check the news maybe 3-4 times a day. To see what's happening, is looking over stories, all kinds of news. And now that the news is just as close as your cell phone, there's kind of no reason not to. I won't even talk to you about, the other day is just simply, some of the stories that, I was checking as, I was doing things that, that maybe I should have been paying more attention to what I was doing than checking the stories. But, I can kind of get into the news. What are your thoughts on what's happening with Saturday Night Live, for instance? I talk a little entertainment. Saturday Night Live does all these exposés of Trump. And I kind of like the one with Jeff Sessions. And he says or rather Trump says it's insulting, but the little possum that they have, that Jeff Sessions supposedly consults his little possum to see which way to go. And he's kind of a little possum himself from Alabama. Nobody really thinks the man really is a possum, but it's kind of funny the way they've kind of taken a little characteristic, his ears and all, and his way of talking, and turned it into that whole possum thing. What do you guys think? You think that's going too far? You think it's disrespectful? Or it's just funny, just humorous? Because I'm not beyond telling a joke or two myself. Unfortunately, most of the jokes I'm not sure I could tell on air. I probably could think of a couple because a lot of my jokes, I should say, emanated from my time in the military, where, when you got time, you got guys tell all kinds of jokes. So some of you guys didn't know I was military yet. Yeah, when I was younger. I enlisted when I was 17 and a half. That was the soonest you could possibly do it, 17 and a half, and I did it. And it was a tremendous experience to be an honorably discharged veteran. And we're trying to figure out some veteran content right now, things that we can do. Because of a couple of health challenges I've had. Personally, I qualify to get the medical marijuana, which I have. I'm not gone to the store to buy any yet, but I am approved to get some if I need to. And I think I might just go to see what the process is like. Maybe I'll bring it live to you, kind of going in there and asking for some medical marijuana. I don't even know what to ask for. There are a couple places that are open here in the state and certainly throughout the country. Of course, I'm not sure if you're approved to buy it in Maryland, that if you are approved to buy it in another state, that it may be legal. So I'm not sure of that. But at least in Maryland, you can, I'm on the good list to get the old medical marijuana. And I did it because, well, there's so many veterans. People will go down to VA hospital and stuff. You see so many veterans that could benefit from it. So quite frankly, I'm hoping that even more veterans to go in and get at least on the list, so you can use it as something that's a card in the deck if you feel like you have to use it. So, but maybe we'll talk a little bit about that. And if you guys, anybody have any thoughts out there on medical marijuana, let me know, and we'll certainly bring those thoughts to light. We probably will be talking to a number of marijuana dispensaries and others. In fact, I visited a major marijuana grower, the plant called Forward Grow, and they'll probably be doing something with us. At least I'll reach out to see if they're willing. But it was to me, it looked like a small city inside of their plant. And there's so much marijuana. It's just incredible. I didn't know marijuana plants grew so tall, and there was such a diverse diverse variety, of marijuana plants that exist. But it is supposed to be big business. Just the other day, I was talking to a friend And what brought this to mind is, I was talking to a friend who was invested in the marijuana business, and he is pretty excited about the potential of making marijuana into soups that instead of just smoking it, it might be added kind of as a spice to your soup, and you take it that way. And there's so many different ways in which minister and you can take it in. So I hadn't really thought that much or thought that far about how I might do it. Or even, actually until this moment, I hadn't really thought about going out and doing it. But now to bring it on air and to kind of share it. Let's see. I've got a comment here for a question from Derek. It says, where will the 2 medical marijuana locations be? Well, there's 2 in every district, the way it worked here in Maryland. But where they are exactly, I'm not sure. I know there is the facility that I visited along with Donnie Glover was out in Annapolis, Maryland. Gigantic facility. But if you know, Derek, where the medical marijuana locations, I know that the legislature approved 2 in every district. And so if you know where they're going to be, I'm happy to kind of bring it out there. But for those people who suffer from some of those things that, qualify for marijuana, it's just something to have in case you need it. I look at there's certain people that think that marijuana is curative, that it actually not just kind of helps you deal with things by lowering your anxiety and all that, but it actually will cure things like cancer and other digestive kinds of issues and stuff. And that kind of goes back and forth as to whether or not the plant will do that. I mentioned to you before that I've got kind of a background in marijuana, so to speak. And why is that? Because I took a course. And there's the Safe Access program, which is well known nationally, and they sponsor these certification programs, and they've got some folks that I'm trying to remember the guy's name, who's the chief scientific officer, and that's just a shame. I know his name begins with a J, and it'll probably come to me as soon as I'm off air. But maybe we can link in with him at a certain point. I don't think we're Facebook friends, so he's probably not seeing that, or I'd ask him to come on board. But he's like the chief scientific officer for Safe Access, Johan Marcoux. Johan Marcoux, that's his name. And he's a chief scientific officer. And the kind of stuff that they believe that marijuana can not just help you or lessen, but actually cure is just incredible. That it's there are people who say it's the wonder drug. Not that you just smoke it, but that if you ingest it and you rub it on your skin in the form of some type of lotion and all, it's just to me it's very incredible. It's incredible. So Derek, I'm not sure of where the locations are going to be, but if there was one close, I don't know if there's one in Baltimore that's open yet. I know they're open, a couple open in different parts of the state, and certainly they're open in different parts of the country. Has anyone out there actually gone to a medical marijuana dispensary and partaken the medical marijuana and like to say something about it? Come on the show. Click on the little link that's on Facebook. Again, if you go to the We123, which is the username in Facebook, the We123, and you search for that, you should be able to find us. And then you can click, you'll find the We page rather, and you click on where I pinned to the top today's link each day, 5 days a week. I will pin the link to that day's show at the top of the Facebook page. And you can use that to click on the show. And if you do that, then we'll, for the most part, depending on what you want to do, is see if you meet those standards that I continually talk about. Because it's just not no porno stuff, and they'll give me the finger. And if you meet that, then we'll pretty much bring you on the show and see what you have to say. But if you try to fake me out and want to get on the show and call me all kinds of bad names, click, you'll be gone. And that's a good thing about technology. And we would show what's going on. So but I certainly invite anyone who's out there who has gone through the medical marijuana process. And for me, at least when I did it, it requires the process. First, you have to, I mean, as a veteran, I was thinking that maybe the veteran hospital might have some kind of program on medical marijuana. But that's not true. In fact, because marijuana is approved on the state level and not the federal, and the VA hospital and veterans are all federal to the U.S. Department of Veteran Administration. And they're pretty much scared of Jeff Sessions and all the negative stuff that comes out of the Attorney General's office. So when I first raised the fact, hey, does anyone around here know anything about medical marijuana at the VA? They thought that I had lost my mind. We can't talk to you about it. We can't enable you in any way, and so on and so forth. So I had to get a copy of my medical records, which is pretty easy to do. And in Maryland, the way it works is that there's a list of doctors who are certified and approved to actually give you the certification you need to get the Maryland marijuana, the medical marijuana thing. Now, after I got my records, there's a commission here that you can apply to, and that starts the process. You're in their database. Now what you have to do is get one of those doctors on the list to say that you qualify for medical marijuana. And if they do, then that's it. I mean, they have the ability right at the doctor's office to approve you and get you on the list. So there's no more to be done. In fact, when I did it, they gave me my number at the doctor's office. There was no waiting for it to come in the mail or anything like that. Now I know what my number is. I have a piece of paper. I didn't get the actual card. I didn't see the need for it. Because that does, $50 for a card in Maryland. That's what it costs. Where I can just kind of tell you my number, you punch it in the computer, my name comes up, and that's it. That's kind of how it works. But they actually here, they had for veterans on that list. There was a list. There was a one particular firm. I think it was called Canadocs. That's CANNA Docs Deals CS. And they actually said for veterans, if you're a veteran, you can come in and we'll give you the free physical exam. So when they said that, I said, well, that's my cue. I've been not doing anything. And I said, I'll go in and get my physical. And that was it right then and there. After I did that, they gave me the number, and that's been some time ago, actually, for me. I've not done much with it. Per se, there's nothing in no place in Baltimore that I'm aware of. And for those of you throughout the country, that have facilities, that have been to facilities or anything, if you'd like to come on and talk about that, happy to do it. But we have, I think in Maryland, we may be closing in on like 10,000 people, something like that, maybe even more, who have been approved and who are capable of going out and getting that medical marijuana. But and I quite frankly would like to do something for veterans, to launch a show. And we talked about that. There's so many different veteran issues, people coming back home with PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome. I've heard many stories of guys coming back, having to deal with that. Of course, people coming back with all kinds of issues. And then, not just talking about the bad parts, but there are people coming back who have served their country and we should help find jobs and move up and respect the fact of what they did, being willing to live, give their life so we could have our freedom. So my hope is that we can talk a little bit about that on the show, and that somehow that I can add to being helpful to veterans, maybe through working with the American Legion or whatever. As a veteran myself, I've got a strong issue, and quite frankly, I enjoyed the military, for the most part. I was, as I said, 17 and a half. It was the first time I'd ever left home by myself. Up until that time, your parents were taking you everywhere. At least in my case, that was the case. Got on that airplane, flew to Texas, and I'll never forget it. I got off that plane. I had a terrible earache. And the last thing that I needed was somebody shouting, because how when you fly, and the plane changes altitudes and all, you're supposed to hold your nose and blow to kind of pop your ears. Well, at 17 and a half, I didn't know how to do that. And so I kept playing with my ear until I got an infection. And when I landed in Texas, oh man, I was feeling bad. And you know how it is. You've seen it all on television. You get it when you're in the military. You get off that plane and immediately the training instructors, what they call the TIs, they start yelling. And that was the last thing I needed for that ear infection. Get off, move. And line up, line up. And, you wondering where to go, and you're lining up, and this and that. I'll never forget it. And then finally, they get you to the base, and it's all the kind of stuff that you see. Shaving your head and all that. I remember it to this day. And the training instructor, teaching you different little things and how to march, and, take care of your room, uniform, and all that. And you're just like if you've seen the movie Officer and a Gentleman, it was very much like that. When I was in the military, maybe it's different now, but it was very much, boy, where you from? Whatever state you say, he demean the state. And then he'd say, and then don't laugh. For those of you who don't know, you see something happening and you start smiling. Am I funny? I remember my training instructor, do I look like a joke to you? Get down and give me 20 right now. I'll kick your balls in there. I can laugh about it now. When I was 17 and a half, it wasn't funny. I love it. First time I've been away from home and stuff. I'm trying to keep a straight face. I don't want them to say anything to me. I'm just trying to kind of get through this thing here. And it was kind of funny. And some of you may have some military stories. The whole thing of training to shoot the M16 and all. It's a very interesting thing to me. How the bullets kind of bow. You have to kind of really justify how the bullet's going to spin and the whole thing. It's very interesting. And so I quite frankly made tremendous friends that I am still in contact with. In fact, my first roommate when I was in the military is someone I am still in contact with because military friendships go back that far. So, it's and I'll have to reach out to him. I'm fairly sure. I don't know if he's on Facebook or not. I always talk to him on the phone. So it's and it was kind of funny because when we were in line, they just basically go, 2 of you in a room, 2 of you, 2 of you. And we saw which way it was going, and I saw who I was likely to end up with. And we kind of shifted around the line. We didn't really even know each other at that time. We kind of shifted around the lines and, man, I want to roll with you. We got to do it. And so we've been buddies ever since and been through a lot of things, in the military. So, that's the kind of stuff when you're in the military that you experience and you go back with, and you kind of always wonder what happened to this person or that person who you were in the military with. So I'm hopeful that we can do some content. Very interested in that. And that would positively affect veterans. For me, I for almost anybody would strongly encourage you to spend some time in the military. It helped me. It's the first time that I was ever commander of other men. Actually taking charge and so on and so forth. I was a squad leader, so. That kind of stuff at an early age, it was the fitness part of it for me. I've always been an athlete. May not seem like it now, but for the most part, I've always been an athlete. So the fitness part wasn't really all that challenging per se. Because really the whole thing with me is, it wasn't getting it done. It was being the number one. We run. I want to come in first and all that kind of stuff. So it wasn't whether I was going to complete it. My challenge was, where were you, competing? So that was where I was at the time. And so, and there's so many. My godson, who I'm hopeful will be able to come on the show, is out at West Point right now. And I'm hopeful that when he gets a break, maybe I can bring him on the show, kind of chew the fat. Oh, wow. That's interesting. Plus, you're saying you clicked the link and it said the broadcast had ended. Wow. Don't want to do that. I am sitting here. Let me do this. Since I now know that, Plez, I am going to just take a moment and kind of maybe see if I could resend that link, because Plez, I'd love to have you come on to the show. And I am going to, and this again, live TV, live stream. Pleasure sent me a note that it says the broadcast has ended. Wow. It is certainly live streaming. So, yes. So we're going to do this, and we're going to work to very quickly in a way that I had not done before, make it happen. Make it happen. See how this was? You say something and boom, we are making it happen. And I'm going to write, now this is for all of you out there. I'm going to write new link for today. Today. Oh, I don't want to misspell anything. Mr. Earl, if you're out there, I know you'll help me with that. So new link for today. That's first. Okay. Boom. I'm going to publish it. All right. Here are the steps you see. This is what I do in the mornings. I'm going to unpin the previous link. Okay. And then I'm going to, come on now. I'm going to pin what I just did to the top of the page. Hold up. Hold up. Yeah, this thing is kind of just, oh, there it is right there. Boom. Pin to the top of the page. So plus that new link, let's try that and see if we can get you on. And then I'm going to see if I can find the old one, and I'm going to delete it. See if I can find that old post. And I am going to delete it. So people don't get confused if I can find it. It probably is, okay, there it is. Where are you? Edit post, delete from page. Boom. Gone. Okay, now let me refresh this bad boy. Says I'm still live. So let's see. All right. So, plus, let's see if you can click on that link if anything happens and see if I can get you on board and chew the fat with you for a little, just talk a little bit for a little while. So, if any of you were clicking on that link and nothing was happening, just let me know. Send me a little message, as Plus this did. And it says that the broadcast had ended. Well, the broadcast goes on. You can safely be assured that from 6 to 9, the broadcast was going to go on. If it doesn't go on, you'll be seeing me in here going, oh, heart attack. No, let's not joke about that. But my bottom line is that unless something happens that is way beyond my control, I'm going to try to continue on my commitment to you that we're going to be here from 6 to 9. So if you show up, then I'm going to show up. And if I'm not here, you can safely assume that there is some reason as to serious. Oh, Plus, is that you? Oh man, you're in the mix now. You're in the mix. Boom. Okay. Plus.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well, man. How's business?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for letting me know that link wasn't working.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah, you see how good this is? Now you can kind of you're now part of the show. Yeah, you're being broadcasted out. Oh, what happened? What happened? Here. I didn't scare you off, did I?
No, I'm here.
I can't. I don't see you on my end.
I'm here.
I don't see you in my end. I don't know what happened on your end.
No, I'm still here.
Okay. I don't hear your questions. Hey, Plus, try to come back in again. I'm going to take it back down and see if you can come back in again. Okay, there we go. All right. Notifying guests. All right. I like that. All right, you're back in the game.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, now this is a man too. Now, Plus, can you tell me a little bit about your thoughts about the marijuana business?
I want to get into it. I think that medical marijuana is a great thing. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, even if just for anxiety, kind of getting introduced to it in college. You do it for maybe a different reason. But, as you get older, you can kind of see the benefits. And then when you read and you hear about the things that it may cure, the cancer pages that it relieves, the digestive and the stomach issues, I totally believe in it. I'm a believer. I would be an advocate. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's kind of why I went and I got my little approval so I could get into it, because they're saying that not only can cure, but if you take it, it could keep you from getting it. I mean, marijuana, they're saying it's the be all end all.
Absolutely. There are a lot of great effects from what I've read, and everyone always says, you've never found anyone to OD from it, and I guess one of the biggest concerns are that it may be a gateway, but I see alcohol as a far more detrimental thing than marijuana could ever be.
Well, back in the day, I used to, I was just concerned about anything, drinking, drugs, anything, because I was an athlete and I didn't want anything to take away from my game. And I had seen so many guys that I thought had great games, and they started drinking and doing drugs, and before you know it, they lost their game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I didn't.
I was more or less the same way in high school. I was an athlete. I did receive a scholarship to play football in college, and I was one of those guys that were kind of like straight laced. No drinking, nothing before games, or even during the week or at all. But then there were some guys on my team. I started as a sophomore, freshman in high school, and some of those guys are just they could function they couldn't function unless they had a drink before a game. It's kind of insane. So it's kind of
plus
what works for you.
Plus, I got a note here from Daisy. She says, she says you're giving, there's kind of an echo on your end. I'm not hearing it on my end, but she's saying there's an echo. You don't happen to have any the earbuds you can plug into your phone?
Yeah, I do.
I'm gonna stay with you. And I've got actually Mr. Earl here live. Earl, you ready to go live?
You're not broadcasting. I can't get you.
Well, he says I'm not broadcasting, but Plus is seeing me. I got somebody online right now. So,
okay, I'll go back and check, but you were not broadcasting. That's why I called.
Okay, all right, I got you on live. Check it again. And send me a note. Thanks.
All right, will do.
Thanks, bye. See that's what I like. To be honest with you. On one hand, I get comments, and I might get a cell phone call in between. We're just all the way live here, and I think that is just so different than regular media. And you say, well, yeah, I don't know if you think it's good or bad, but I kind of think that kind of reaction. You can call me, you can text me, you can come on the show. We're just a show of the people, and we're flowing with it and talking about various things. And heck, and if you guys, Plus is out here, but if some of you guys want to join us in our conversation, we got room for more people to join us. So let us know, and we'd be happy to talk more about whatever issue that you might have on. And thank you, Daisy, for telling us. Because on my end, I guess because I got the earbuds, I don't hear any echo. But if you out there are hearing the echo, Daisy, thank you again, because we can do something about that to make the broadcast as good as possible, and because that's what we want to do. And Plus is an extremely well-known business person here locally. And he can talk a little bit about what he does. And I was just telling him, Plus, that you are very well known and long-time business person. And in addition to being knowledgeable and interested in the marijuana business, he's been around a long time and certainly is highly respected within the community.
Well, not as long as my father. So I'm a junior. So
no, I understand.
Yeah. But absolutely, I'm following the footsteps. And my biggest thing, or one of my biggest thing, is having different revenue streams. Mm-hmm. So I'll go anywhere and any place and get an understanding and to try to move forward or do business in as many ways as I possibly can.
Mm-hmm. Now, Plus, tell me about your dad. I have not kept up. Is he still in business?
Yeah, he's still in business. Oh yeah, still kicking, still going strong, going strong. Absolutely.
Yeah, because he's kind of a legend.
Oh, absolutely. I know it. I live it every day.
Well, back in the old days, I came across a name that you might be familiar with, Ples, Hanford Jones.
Yeah, he was at the event we had. Which event was that? Oh, the Christmas party. Yeah, he came down. He came down from Philly. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, I reached out to Hanford just yesterday, and Hanford was a legend in the old days of the Maryland Minority Contracts Association.
Yes,
And,
that's how I met him. Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys that get the picket signs and picket City Hall and picket Rouse Company developments and all that kind of stuff, and he was kind of a real action oriented person.
Absolutely. He was one of the ones that laid the groundwork for the minority participation in Maryland. Of course, now it's become more of a facade than anything, but he was one of the first ones to get it going for contractors here in the city and in the state.
Yeah, well, we don't have people around like Hanford anymore, at least not that I'm aware of. And Bob Clay and folks like that, folks that you're hearing us in other parts of the country may not be familiar with those names, but they were really guys who pushed to get business African Americans here locally. And I'm glad to see that Hanford is still on the scene. I hope to have them on the show. Now, are you involved with the trucking business?
We're doing construction, demolition. I'm also involved in development and construction services. And what we're attempting to do right now is buy some of those blighted blocks and then come back with mixed use developments and have the sort of like how DC is doing it now, where they have the residential at the top and then the commercial amenities for that community at the bottom floor.
Yes.
So we're looking to do, just having a lot of trouble with site acquisition because the city put a lot of these properties in the CDC's care, and if somebody has already gotten to them, they have already kind of manipulated what they want to do with said properties and said community. So it's a task because what a lot of people are doing are depending and waiting on core funds. CORE was developed by the governor in order to help relieve or clean up the blighted communities. So a lot of people, what you have to do is apply in like January and by June, or the application process ends by June, and then you're still subjected to what the state may or may not give you. So with our program and what we're trying to do is that we'll finance the whole deal. And with my background being in demolition and site work, and we also have a concrete plant, mobile and stable, and static rather, we can be a turnkey process for the city. But there seems to be some pushback on doing those type things, or the red tape is in such a knot that it's just hard to unravel.
But overall, it would seem to me that your business is like happy days. I was the Trump and other people are talking about $1 trillion infrastructure, and the governor's talking about all these roads and things that he's looking to build in the state of Maryland. I don't know how many billions of dollars that they're talking about that. I mean, in your business, and correct me if I'm wrong, I would think it's like happy days.
Well, absolutely. You would believe that because of all the inventory and so forth that we have in the city. For a demolition contractor, you are in the right place to make as much money as you can. But what is happening is the developers are coming in and they are coming in and hiring their own teams. So the people that are doing bigger developments already have their plan in place. There's no competitive bid process. There's nothing that a private guy could do to jump in to essentially public work, but they kind of like circumvent it to the developers. Now they can come in and have whoever they want to tear down the whole city.
Wow!
And use the state funds.
Did you benefit in any way from Port Covington?
No. We're looking at it. We met with one of their lawyers down there, so it's more or less. You put your information in, you give your capabilities, and then they'll start sending you things. A lot of the stuff I'm getting is just infrastructure stuff, or just talk or design, things of that stuff. It's it's not really moving on it, or they're not letting us know or letting me know that this is where we are, or we're doing this. You know, they'll come out with some work, I'm sure, because there will be some participation goals, I'm sure, tied to it. But as on the bottom floor and trying to get an understanding or trying to get into the real estate side of it, no, it's not really available information.
Hey, let me just shift for a second. You're active in your father's business, right?
Absolutely.
Now, I know oftentimes it's very difficult for a parent to really pass on the business to children. And more often than not, the children just are not interested. And what is it? How did your dad do it? And what was it a part of it that made you seem like this is something I want to do? I want to continue on my dad's legacy.
I guess I was in the ninth grade, and they kind of give you an evaluation of what they think you should be. And my thing kept coming back: teacher, journalist, that type of thing. So as I'm telling my father that, he just shakes his head. There's no money. There's no money in that. So hearing that and then seeing what he did, it was just natural to kind of follow that way. Yeah. Yeah, it's not the easiest thing because the nepotism runs rampant in our office. So we it's like we butt heads because we have the same situation. Some of us may be into it and readily available to take over the business and have some great ideas. But then there's always the sibling that is just always as okay, dad take care of me. And that conflicts with my way of doing business. If you can't cut the mustard, whether you're my brother, sister, or cousin, then we have to go another route. You have to go another route with trying to take care of the business.
Well, other communities do that as well. I mean, I don't want to generalize.
Hello, I lost you.
Added to the broadcast. Okay, I'm back.
Okay, I'm back. I got you.
But many of them, they feel the exact same way. They unless you are able to come in here and make it happen, we'll cut you, and we don't care who you are. You could be blood relative.
Right, but I have a bit of empathy with me, so it's never like take money out your pocket. Hey, let's just move to the side and let me get this other person to take care of it. But with family, it cuts a little deeper when somebody's telling you doing something wrong.
Well, I'm just glad to see that you guys have been able to continue it and that you have this interest, because I can probably name the people on one hand that I know of that have been able to transfer a business from one generation to the next generation. And you guys have done it. And a few others here locally have done it. I don't want to talk too much about local stuff because we're reaching so many people throughout the country, and they may not be aware of local issues that are kind of Baltimore issues. But we're hopeful that this broadcast, back in the day, one of the things that really made me think about my personal contribution to business is a guy said to me that back in the day that the Chapman Company's 20-year history kind of put Baltimore on the map.
Lost you again.
Boom. Good thing I can put myself right back in. That hopefully that we can do something here that will put Baltimore on the map in a different kind of way, not in the kind of way that people see in The Wire or Freddie Gray riots or stuff like that. That they could see a business person like yourself and others who are doing things here that we're not every day trying to these things keeps. This is live TV, but this see us. We're not afraid to go outside. We do our thing here, and it's a pretty good place to be. So hopefully, as a side that we can do that as well. Where are you these days on the political front? Are you active at all?
I kind of more or less see myself.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. As a watchdog. I'm not a.
Can you?
Yeah.
I
can hear you.
Okay. Are you able to hear my questions out there?
I hear you. I hear you. Can you hear me?
Let me. Says his uncle. Let me have some more messages out there from some people that are alive. If you can hear what we're saying, give me a quick comment. I got a comment here earlier from Mr. Earl Bravo that everything's good. A comment from actually my first cousin here, Vanessa Jeffries, just saying good morning. So give me a comment out there that you guys are hearing us, because plus it looks like you're frozen. Can you hear it?
I can hear you. I'm fine.
Technology.
I can hear you.
Kind of interesting. Each day, something different. Okay. Plus it looks like our images out there are kind of frozen. I'm not sure if you're hearing me or not. Give me a hand wave. Are you hearing me out there?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay, you're hearing me, but I'm not hearing you. Let me hear you say something.
I hear you.
Okay, I can see you. I think you're hearing me out there, but I'm not quite sure why I'm not hearing you, because we're kind of frozen on the screen.
Good morning, brother.
But plus, I won't take up your time where I'm taking up these technical issues. Let's get back together. I'm going to let you go, and I appreciate you signing into the show, because I'm going to have to kind of do a couple little working technical things here, see if I can get some things. So thank you for coming to the show, and we'll be back. We'll be getting back together. Thanks for coming in.
No problem.
All right. Okay, Derek said he could hear both of us. Derek Burnett. Yeah, that's our Derek Burnett. So he said he can hear both of us. Glad to hear that. And glad to know you're there. Derek, you might as well come on board yourself. Click on that link and let me know things are still working. And come on board, and we can chew the fat and talk a little bit. This live Facebook Live gives you the chance to do some things, but at the same time, you're going to face some technical challenges that until as the technology continues to evolve, and especially since we're doing some things with it that normally don't get done. He said he could hear both of us. My problem was I could not hear. Plus, at a certain point in time, and that was kind of something I thought we had solved. But this is the fifth day, the first week, the fifth day, and we're making it through. We're almost into the final hour, and so glad for so many of you who took your time to listen in, and we're hopeful of continuing to evolve the show. And to bring in issues that you're interested in. And again, for those of you who are out there who would like to come on in, Plus was just here, just click on that link, and the link that I just put out there, and come on onto the show. And I like to both have you here, but I like to test things out as we're testing things out this week to see how things go. And it's it's interesting. I keep this word I just keep saying over and over again. Interesting, because it's funny. Each day it was something different. You solve one thing, and then there's certain things you can't do much about. The broadcast gets dropped. Signals in the air and all that. You put yourself back in as best you can. Sometimes the screen will freeze. It'll make you wonder, hey, did I freeze out there? People still hearing me? And then I'm happy that people say, yeah, I'm still hearing you. And you just keep talking through it, and then the screen starts to move again. So that's what you see on my end. And we've got kind of state-of-the-art technology flowing for us in making this happen, and it's still issues in it happening. So I'm just thankful for the public that we have out there that's hearing us, and that some of the issues that we can raise out there as we reach more and more people. And we want you to continue to like our show, share our show, and also I haven't gotten any recommendations yet from you all. I mentioned that we're going to be doing a special Martin Luther King Day broadcast on Monday from 12 to 3. Donald Watkins, a famed civil rights attorney out of Birmingham, Alabama, will be on the show. But I'd like to have some suggestions from you of other people that you might want to see on the show that I could reach out to. So if you've got some suggestions, whoever they might be, wherever they might be, I'd really appreciate it, of people who you think might be able to, just add a little something to the day and that you'd like to see live. Maybe even come on the screen with us as well, the way Plus did. You can just join us on the screen. And we'll here is dropping me. Yeah, a couple times here, it looks like I got dropped. I just blame myself back on. Now, that's something that's a little different. It wasn't doing that before. So this whole dropping me and having to bring myself back on. So, but again, that's the technology. We're going to continue to roll with it and advance with it and try to make it happen. So, look, I see out there, because what happens is there's like a 10-second delay between what I see on my right and what I see on my left. So what happened on my right, I see happening again on my left. So we're making it happen. One of the things I want to emphasize as we kind of move into the final hour of the show is just how important it is to get your feedback and for you to really make this into a real two-way talk type of situation. And as you saw, Plus and I were able to talk for a little while. I like to do that with some others. Something happened there in the audio where I couldn't quite hear what he was saying, but some people out there were saying that they could hear both of us. Isn't that interesting? All the variables. I can't hear, but then other people can hear. I can hear others. It's that kind of thing. And so, but we'll keep flowing with it and keep pushing the technology each time, adding a little something to it, correcting the problem. We hope, and so it doesn't duplicate itself. But the key thing is that for you to know that this show is not simply about me, but it is, or just my opinions. I certainly have a ton of opinions, and I'm always try to people to my right to see if I have any comments. I like shift this bad boy here a little bit more left, and then I can see it even better. So I don't have to be peeping quite as severely to see what's happening. But we're getting just more and more comments and more people who are liking the show, seeing what we're doing, knowing we're going to be here, being willing to talk about whatever you're willing to talk about, whatever you think would be of interest to you. We're more than happy to talk about. So, this show is something that is, as I said, global, and you will be seeing some other guests next week who are from other parts of the world who will be coming on board and chewing the fat with us and talking to us a little bit. Why? It seems like every few seconds this thing drops me and I've got to bring myself back on. But hey, what can you say? I'm thankful that I can bring myself on, but without restarting the broadcast. So, this is a glitch that we'll figure out, whether it's the software, whether it's our computers, whether, whatever it might be, we'll figure it out and keep rolling with it. And some of the stuff that, is that you guys might want to talk about, whether it's the news. There's a story that I kind of scrolled to here that I was kind of interested in. Where Serena Williams was talking about how difficult childbirth was for her, which is in a way, I guess to some, maybe to some males, surprising, because being the super athlete that she is, you would have thought that, she would have probably had an easy pregnancy, and it turned out, she had some issues. I think in the past she had the clot issue, and some of that made her pregnancy and her childbirth not as easy as you might suspect. Those of us who have actually seen childbirth, I don't know how many of you out there have actually, been there to watch a child come into the world. I've seen it. It is an incredible thing that to think that we all kind of came into the world that way, and looked that way when we first came into the world. It's just a very, very incredible thing. And that life continues in that way. At least I found it to be that way. It's almost, it's a combination of something that is very romantic, with something is almost like a horror movie, like the alien popping out your belly and all that kind of stuff. No, it's more romantic than that. It's more romantic than it is alien for you ladies out there. I don't want to, make it seem like it's so bad, but a lot of thoughts when I saw it flew through my mind. But I saw it actually happening. But then we kind of turn into the person or people that we're going to be. So, it's for Sarita to have gone through what she went through in her pregnancy. For me, was a bit of a surprise. Was it a surprise to interview out there that she had a difficult time with her pregnancy? And have any of you actually know of people, seen people? Because this is two-way talk. This is your show as well as mine. So if you guys have some comments out there, you'd like to come in, and if some of you are brave enough, like Pless, to click on that link, which we now know works, and to come on the show with me and chew the fat, I'd love to have you. Yeah, you see how easy it is, how simple it is, and love to have you. So, but if not, too, any kind of comment that you want to put up, we can react to that as well. As whether it's in the news or sports or whatever it might be, we're happy to talk about it. If it's something more global, we're happy to talk about that too, because we're reaching people all over the world. Certainly, I don't even know how many people we're reaching, because we're kind of streaming on two different systems to make the broadcast happen, and both reach different groups of people. So I know we're reaching a lot of people out there. So we want some of you guys to be brave enough. Earl's giving me some good advice. He says it's not nice to compare babies to aliens. Well, it wasn't so much Earl in my mind that I was comparing the babies to the aliens. It was the whole, coming out of your stomach thing. That was kind of shocking to me, that we have that physical capacity, somebody who and they have that life-giving capacity. And it kind of reminded me of the movie in a way, not that the baby looked like an alien, not at all. I mean, I'm very fortunate to have my daughter's attractive, and it's about three girls, and very fortunate. I shouldn't say that. I mean, well, that's just a fact. I shouldn't dig it any deeper. But, so it's certainly not comparing the babies to aliens. At least I hope I didn't put it out there like that. But it's good to know that you heard what I said out there, Mr. Earl, and others who are listening to the show today, as we look to fish in some comments who might bail me out of that one. So, being a father for me was a fantastic experience. Still a father, and watching childbirth was an incredible experience. Watching it actually happen. So, a lot of times, when I was coming up, I just loved my dad so much. I was very fortunate to have a great dad. I couldn't believe that I could ever have anybody who could feel the same way about me. Because all your imperfections and so on, but. Just blessed to have three girls, and my oldest was an athlete, so I felt about that. And then my second oldest was kind of an athlete plus an actress, and then my youngest was artistic, so I got to experience a lot of things. I'm not much of an artist. I can't really say I can draw per se. I'm better a writer. If I had to pick something that might be thought of as an art. Kind of a writer kind of thing, which reminds me, I guess I should plug the fact that I am, working on the Chapman Company story. In fact, there's a website that we have up called the ChapmanCompanyStory.com. And so if you're interested in the book, you can go there and put your email address in. And when things are available as I release excerpts of the book, you can see it. Because there are certainly some things I may release in the excerpts that may not even make it to the book. Because when it goes through the editing process, you don't know exactly what's going to end up in the book and what's going to be cut by the editors for various reasons. So if you go to the Chapman Company story.com and put your name in, then when the book becomes available, I'll make sure that you're aware of it. It's kind of writing a book. is for me a difficult thing. And it's really me writing it. It's not a Donald Trump where somebody else wrote the book and you kind of throw your name on it. You give them a couple of good stories and they got to write it. I am writing the book. And I can tell you that, it is a tough process. Even when you're writing something you know a lot about, which is your company story, your own story to a certain degree, because it's hard to separate my story from the Chapman Company story. And even though that's the case, it is not the easiest thing to do. Have any of you out there written books? I'd be interested to know of your experience. And certainly for me, it seems like these days, the only time I have to really jump in and work on it is on the weekends. And even that's a short amount of time because so much the show, the network, the We Network, other things I do are sort of consuming. But I am committed to get that book done one way or the other. And to get it out there and to get it in the public domain, because there's so much really I want to share. There's a lot of history. I've been very fortunate to be associated with many people who are historical figures themselves. People have their names on buildings, to know them on a personal level. As they were developing that reputation, it ended up putting their name on. And some of those stories I tell, about. When I was treasurer for the first Black mayor of Baltimore and what that was like, I was probably 27, and how that happened, how I ended up that way, and the whole politics of what works when you're in that kind of situation. There's so many stories that I tell in there of different people. One of our guests is coming on next week, Donald Watkins down in Birmingham. Some of the things when I became the first Black to in the investment banking business in Birmingham, to underwrite transactions, to manage money for the Birmingham retirement system. What happened, because that was historic. That had never happened before down there. And, there's lots of stories in the book. So if you go to thechapmancompanystory.com, put your name in, put your email address in, and when it's available, I'll make sure that you get a copy. And Mr. Earl always asked me, one of the commentaries, his comments, if I know he's reading right now in a very enjoyable book club that we talk about. And there's the old saying, readers make leaders. And the more you read, the more ideas you have, the more ideas people are likely to, that you'll be able to share with people. And I'm a believer in that. I love to read, to be honest. I guess I've always been a nerd before the term was even created. Because I love to read all kinds of things, from historical stuff to military stuff. I read a lot of technical stuff, a lot of stuff involving computers and other things. I read software. I'll read. So, I'm a voracious reader. So I'm still looking for some more comments. Anybody out there still there? Or has everybody gone to work? You can take the phone in the car, just put it in your little holder and ride with me to work and give me a couple comments or two. Maybe even come on board now that everybody's probably, pretty much dressed. If you're sitting on the bus and you want to do something, come on and just log into, just click on that thing, boom, just like Plus. It's kind of incredible. You click on that thing, you download the app, and you are in. And we're sitting here talking, and you're live to, I don't know how many people throughout the world who have elected to watch the broadcast as we evolve this thing. But I'd certainly love to have you, and certainly love to chop it up with you, talk to you a little bit. And that's what we're really hoping to accomplish. I'm surprised. I'm seeing that, my friend Alexis, where are you, Alex? I thought you'd be back again this week, but I must have scared y'all. You got scared on me. See, but no, I know he's not scared. He's probably just making some money somewhere, and doing his thing. But still, there's so many people who we're hopeful that we can touch in this format and talk a little bit about, issues of the day. The good thing is there's so much news. As I said, there was a time when I did live TV. When I did live TV, that I would have to come in the mornings and, just so I can stay on top of things, that nothing happened over the night, that I'd spread the papers out and I'd flip through all the stories. But now the news is all on your phone. You want to see something, you just kind of flip through it until you find something that you might want to follow. and see what happens. It's interesting. There's so many stories, and just there's so much out there. Wow, this story just popped up. Trump accuses FBI agent removed from the Mueller probe of committing treason. Wow, I mean, he hits him hard, doesn't he? I mean, the FBI agent, as I understand, was having an affair, with one of the attorneys, and they're tweeting back and forth their opinion, which is interesting to know. But I don't think. I mean, nothing came out of it. You can imagine that. He's just tweeting back and forth in a situation that he doesn't think anybody going to know about, and he may have expressed some negative thoughts about Trump. But to say that rises to a level of treason, man, that's really hitting him hard. I guess he's kind of unhappy that kind of stuff is going on. He feels like he's in charge and everybody should bow down. But again, I'm trying to do as many stories as possible. And we don't always have to talk about Trump and what he's doing in Washington. There's so much happening throughout the world. And whether it's the mudslides in California, I mean, can you imagine that? A mudslide? I'm sitting in this building right now, and then I open the door and it's like encased in mud or worse. Man, it's just terrible. Those people who were affected by it, those people who were killed by it, it was just, and just an awful, awful thing to have happen. Life is just so fragile, just in general. I mean, you can walk around and sniff up a bad bug, or your system can start to change on you, you get cancer. But then, something like that mudslide, and you kind of imagine what that must be like to be covered in mud. Terrible thing. So I'm hopeful that they can do things to shore up housing areas, or maybe even decide where people ought to live and not live based on the potential for that kind of damage. Because, those mudslides, they take lives quickly. There's no way you can kind of see the mud coming and outrun it, so to speak. They were saying that, here, I've got a nice hello from Adrian. Adrian, I want to elevate that, let you know we're seeing you. Feel free to click online, Adrian, and click on that link and some issues you might want to discuss. Happy to get that going. So happy to see you. That's a new comment for today from Adrian. Happy to know that you're out there and that you're listening to us. But again, just in the spirit of that, I want to just state again, on Monday, we're going to do a special Martin Luther King broadcast from like 12 to 3 in there. And if there are people out there that you'd like me to reach out to and to get on the show, I'm happy to do that. Martin Luther King certainly meant a lot to many, many people in this country, certainly not just African Americans, but many people. But I can remember when he was killed. I was just a little boy back then. How old was I when he was killed? Maybe I was like 12, something like that, when he was killed. And I remember my mom crying, and my mom's not one for crying. My mom's tough. She is tough. My mom will fight you. So my mom's not one for breaking down and crying and all that kind of stuff. But when King got shot, she did. And I just didn't understand all of it. I just knew I was sad. And all the stuff that was coming on television and all that was talking about it and all it just, my mom was calling different people were calling her. And I can still remember it, kind of sitting up in my room and just looking outside in Baltimore. Of course, we ended up with the city burning. And I remember that. I remember all the issues, the police and all that, the stuff that was happening here in other parts of the country. I remember just things being shut down because of what was happening. So I remember the day that he was killed. I didn't know, I was just too young to know all of the good things that he had done in this point to kind of move us toward a more equal country. But I certainly remember when he died. So my hope is that people like Donald. I mean, Donald and Birmingham, Martin Luther King used to come by his house, as did other civil rights leaders. His father was extremely well known. He was Donald Watkins, the brother of a very well-known surgeon, Levi Watkins. But Donald, his reputation in his own right, is a fantastic attorney. And in particular, a fantastic civil rights attorney. So he's committed to come on and shoot a fat a little while, talk a little bit about things. So if there's anyone else, I'm kind of looking back and forth, probably checking the Facebook account, calling a couple people, might call somebody when this is all over. I won't even put them on the spot by throwing out their name to see if they got any time on Monday, if they're not already speaking, because many folks, there are celebrations and people are paid speakers. They'll be going out and doing their thing. Talking about what the day and all of that, and so there may not be everybody, but that's available. But you guys, let me know. Put a name out there, and I've got a pretty wide Rolodex, and know people. So I'll see if they like to do it, see if they're available. And I certainly can't reach everybody. I mean, if you want the Chinese president or something like that, I don't think I can get to him. But there's some others that we probably can get to, and at least see if they're interested to just reflect and talk and maybe add something to the day and give you a little something to do other than watch the movies for folks that are out, that you can actually participate. You guys can come on the show. Just like Plus did today, just like Alexis and Granville did yesterday. You can actually come on the show, and just like in the days of two-way talk, where you become a part of the talk, you become a part of our Facebook broadcast. And it's good to know that, for a second there, the broadcast kept dropping me and bringing me back. That's the whole thing that's so uncontrollable. Now it hasn't done that for a while. Nothing's changed except for the airwaves. You just, even though we're all wired here, and what I mean by that is that our entire connection here is plugged into the wall as opposed to wireless. We could do wireless, but wireless, for you techies out there, it's just so easy to get your signal dropped. It's much more difficult to get signals dropped and things to happen like that when you're plugged into the wall and you're wire connected. But they will happen, as you've experienced and you see what we've happened here, even in the best of circumstances, even with state-of-the-art equipment and all of that. So we are hopeful that you will join us and that you'll not only join us but help us test it out. Because what was happening the other day when Alexis and Granville came on, we did like the three-way screen split, which I enjoyed. But until two people came on at the same time, I couldn't do the screen split. You saw it with Plus, where we split the two. But we could have brought one more on, split the three, and another who could have been in the guest room. So I'm looking forward to all that. I'm looking forward to the technology, taking it through its paces and seeing just all the things that we can do. So if any of you are out there and you want to come on the show, and you just click on the link and thank you for for Plus. I mean, Plus it clicked on and the link wasn't working. So I immediately, while we were doing the broadcast, I established another link and sent it out there and put it on their Facebook site and all that so that a person could do it. So if anything that's happening out there, you're not hearing my voice, the broadcast is not happening, please feel free to contact me, because, we're kind of perfecting this thing and trying to make it happen. I want to give a plug for people here are local. I'll be at the Rotary Oyster Roast tomorrow from 12 to 4. I've been a long time member of the Rotary, not a recent member, but an old member of the Rotary Club, which does a lot of good in the community. Rotary is an international organization. It gives out a lot of money to charity and all. And from my earliest days and working, I became a Rotarian and really proud of it. So tomorrow, I'll be at the Baltimore Rotary, which is at the 5th Regiment Armory here in Baltimore, and from 12 to 4, and just helping out, raise a little money at the Oyster Roast. And hopefully you have some time. I forget what tickets cost. There is a cost for the tickets. You probably can look it up online to see if it's something you want to do. But it's all you can eat. The food is outstanding. I'll probably skip breakfast just so I can eat. But you guys heard I'm trying to lose weight too. So I don't know if that helps me. If I skip breakfast and I eat all I want at the Rotary, that could maybe be my meal for the day. I don't know if that helps me. Yeah, maybe you guys out there know a little bit more about weight loss, can speak to that. But I'm thinking one meal a day, even if it's a huge meal, that probably would be good. I probably would snack later, but I don't necessarily have to eat the meal, especially if we are getting out of there at 4:00. Then that can probably tide me over, because all you can eat is all you can eat of some very good food. I'm not really a big oyster person. It's an oyster roast, but they have so much other stuff there. And it's just a fantastic, fantastic thing. And I work the wheel. I'm what you call the barker. And that may surprise you, but you'll see me on the microphone actually encouraging you to come over and to participate with the wheel. Now, some of you may not be surprised that I'm the barker, but I kind of enjoy it, that I see folks. And as you walk by, I kind of encourage you to come on over the Rotary has the entire place, this gigantic place we call the 5th Regiment Army. And there are many, many wheels, so I'll be at one of the wheels, and one of what they call a cash wheel, and getting people to do it. I've done it now. I didn't do it last year because, wasn't feeling great. But I think I've done it about 4 years altogether, where maybe 5, maybe at least 4. And each year, it's just a tremendous crowd, very friendly crowd. And so I hope to encourage those of you who are local to come out and see it. Now, that to me, it's like Morning Joe. Morning Joe, he has a little band at a local New York club, and he's kind of encouraging people to come by and hear his band. I don't have a band. I'm just kind of doing this to kind of plug in the Rotary so you can come out and both have some great food with some very friendly people. And who knows, maybe you might make enough at the wheel to pay for your ticket. Yeah, you never know, depending on how lucky you are. It's a simple thing to do, but so many people, put money into the lottery. Of course, you're not winning those kind of odds when you're spinning the wheel and all that kind of stuff, but it is a fun thing to do. And it is very interesting as the wheel slows down, the hopeful look that someone has. Hopefully it's going to land on where I get some money. And all too often it does, that people actually make a few bucks, coming at the wheel. So, again, that's just a little plug of where I'll be tomorrow from 12 to 4 and doing that. It's not, it's more a labor of love than it is any kind of a parent's, a labor of trying to give back to the community and what I enjoy to do. So if some of you are local and available and interested, you can come on down. Let me know you saw me here and that, and that you're coming over to the wheel and try your luck. And so I'm hopeful that you'll do that. Just to touch again, I move around a lot of subjects as we go through our 3-hour time together. I talk about a lot of different things, and I like to jump into the whole sports thing. The football playoffs are happening right now. Unfortunately here in Baltimore, our Ravens did not make it. Final seconds of the game, they kind of lost. So they didn't make it. But I'm just of a view of how many of you out there are actually watching football. How many are boycotting because of the Colin Kaepernick and taking the knee at the flag and all that kind of stuff? And how many of you guys are ignoring that? How many of you guys think this is a good season who don't? There may be some thoughts out there. If you guys... Pittsburgh is still in it. And I say that because in Baltimore, I am surprised at the number of Steeler fans that we have. I probably see more Steeler shirts, and somebody correct me, than I see Redskins shirts. If we're going to see an opposing team, I would expect to see more Redskins shirts. But there are actually, in my mind, more Steeler shirts. And one of my good friends out there, few good friends, are Dallas Cowboy fans. Not that I have a few friends, but a few of my friends out there are actually Dallas Cowboy old from the old days of Emmitt Smith, and they kind of stayed with it. They're Cowboy fans. And come speak for your team. What do you think? Of course, the Cowboys didn't make it either. Neither the Redskins. It's kind of sad. Baltimore's not in it. Philly's in it. And we've got a couple players from Baltimore that are on the Philly team that gives us a little bit, I guess, to root for. We didn't bring them back here, but they're still in the game, still in the playoffs, even though they're not playing for the Ravens. And I've got a real good buddy. He moved down to Tampa Bay, so he's now following their team down that way. So, guys, if you're out there, if you're hearing me and you got an opinion about any of these things, just let me know, and we'll flow with that a little bit. I will be bringing some other people in here. And of course, I mentioned to you that we're going to be launching Chapman Means Business, where I'll be focusing in on that subject that you guys like to hear me talk about, business and making money. Certainly I like to talk about it, and I like to show you because, I've proven over a long career that's what I'm good at. I love watching the markets. I love watching world events and figuring out how we can make money from them, and looking at things. So I'll be talking in general about a lot of those things because so much of investments is a specific thing, and I never want to cross over into that regulated area where I tell you to do something specifically. I'm normally just talking in general about what I think about things, and then from that, hopefully that you can get something from it, and maybe even directing you. You may even do some things on our website, directing you to where you might be able to do stuff. My friends, I would say at least once a week, someone's, I'm talking to about, whether they should do with their retirement funds or their child's fund for college or something like that. What's the best thing? But this has just been such a great time in the market for various reasons. And, if the stock market, if the tax cut actually gets implemented, and I say that, not that I know it's already passed, already been passed by the president, but, there's a whole administrative side of it before you actually see something that has to happen. And it'll happen, but I just know it's still another step. That's going to be a tremendous benefit to these corporations. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Can you imagine how much money that a company like Apple is going to make? It just boggles the mind that just, you make a certain amount of money, Congress passes this law, and your money just goes up substantially. You didn't have to sell anymore. You're just paying less to government, more in your pocket, more in Apple's pocket to do whatever it wants. And we're talking about in the billions. We're not just talking about somebody just making a little bit of money. That tax cut to them, is something that's in the billions. So still looking for some comments, still looking for some people to join me. What is it that everybody's gone to work already? Let me know you're still there. If you haven't gone to work, let me know you're still there. Maybe you have to be at work by 9 and you're kind of out the door. But I am looking to go out the door with you. Take your phone and just walk out the door. That's what we can do these days. The whole technology standpoint, take your phone, walk out the door, stay on the broadcast, click on that link, join the broadcast, and let's talk about something that you might be interested in talking about and others might be interested in hearing. So let's just do that. And some more comments, looking for whatever you guys might want to say and talk a little bit about. Happy to do that. We're closing in on the last part of the broadcast. And the last day of the first week. One of my buddies asked me, he said, Nate, when are you going to plan your anniversary? I said, anniversary? Like the anniversary of what we're doing here? Yeah, it's a good idea. Maybe a year down the road, we'll do a year's anniversary celebration or something like that, which is a good idea. But right now, just kind of getting through the first week with the technology pieces and other things that we're bringing on board and things that are kind of working in the background. That's been kind of enough, picking which camera and all that you're going to use for the broadcast and just feel blessed that we can do it. And I have to really thank my friend, Donnie Glover, who's kind of a do it now kind of person, that we went out here to test this product, and we're looking at you guys to help us with it and to give you something that's worthwhile and enjoyable. And I have to believe that you, being the people, that your involvement is essential. So, we want to continue to do that. Little things like we just did when we started the show. We started it with a graphic, and that graphic was Mornings with Nate, actually produced by my friend Granville Templeton. He's, in addition to being a tremendous lawyer, he's a graphic artist. So he produced that graphic, and I told, yeah, man, I'm going to use that thing. And so we did this morning. I sent a little email out last night that, hey, we're going to use that this morning. So thank you, Granville, again for that. But please, if you have a chance, please friend our show. Please not friend it, like it. Give you a friend on the other side, personal page. Ours is a business page, and so and also share it and come back and let me know what you're interested in talking about. Because I can look here and I can see a ton of news stories. I'm kind of mixed up. I kind of take really what I think are the bigger stories, the ones that are that you may have the most interest in. Because some of the news is just so repetitive. We can talk about North Korean nukes and stuff like that. I mean, it's a big story. It's a very important story. But gee, we can just talk. And, we normally cut the broadcast off about 8:45. And 8:45, what that does is gives us 2 hours and 45 minutes worth of broadcast, in the 3-hour program. Because if you go strict, yesterday we went a little longer. We maybe went to like 8:55. But Facebook gives you 90 minutes, not 90 minutes, 3 hours, 3 hours of straight broadcast. And then they cut you off. They give you the hook. So I don't want Facebook to give us the hook. I want to be able to sign off and tell you guys goodbye and see you next week and all that kind of good stuff. So that's what we do. That's why we do what we do and trying to get through the broadcast. But come on, I'm looking for some more comments. I'm looking for some company this morning. So click on that link. Let me know it's still working. Is Plus tested out, and that you guys are able to hear us. Give me a couple little comments out there for anyone who's still listening and still engaged, and keep us on your phone. So who knows? We may even have maybe Trump might even come on in. I don't have anything arranged, but if he clicks on there and says, "Hey, this is Donald Trump," I'll let you on. As long as you don't give me the finger and that you don't bring any pornography, hey, we'll let you on and let you talk about things a little bit. I may have to give you this. If you're looking at the camera and I go like this, you know what that means. Kind of trying to cut it off. I will have to give you the hook. But barring that, you never know who might appear on the show. We know a few people here and there, and some of them might be interested in doing it. Trump, in that comment that he made on Haiti, that's something else the other news networks do. They kind of repeat the news every 15 minutes. And I talked about that comment that Trump made on Haiti and Africa being what they call shithole countries. And now he's saying it was just strong language. So people were saying it was vulgar language, but the little thing that just came over my phone basically is saying that he's saying that it is strong language, And let me just check. I'm looking here to see if there's some comments that I might have missed on Facebook that you guys might have sent. And if so, I'd like to address them before I get offline. Got a couple of friend requests here. We'll knock that out. But let's see here. Let's see some more comments. Anything that you guys want me to say or deal with before, as we this is like the last half hour of things. Oops, didn't mean that. You see that? That's what happens when you go live. Now my volume on my phone is up, so I have to cut that off to see if you guys say, here's, I got to do this more often. I see here where Derek is saying, send me the link. And Derek and Fred Leffler. Fred, going to have to get you on the show. I see that you and Derek are watching the show. Fred Leffler is one of the smartest guys I've ever met. And he's both in his history, he's been both an accountant and a lawyer. So, we got to get Fred to come on and talk about things. There's so much stuff that comes over this site that doesn't show up here. So I'm going to have to check this periodically now that I see this. Check what's on my phone as well as what comes up here as far as comments, because there's a few more comments here than is available over here. Adrian's taking me to task for repeating the Trump stuff. Here it is. Well, I'm not happy about that sort of strong language. Oh, strong language from Trump? Yeah, I have to say that I'm not happy about it. I'm kind of shocked, actually, that a president would be talking like that in the public. And it just gets repeated. I mean, there are a couple of comments here from people that I have that, repeating that word that begins with an S. So because of what you said, Adrian, I'm going to just describe it that way, that word that begins with an S. And people are repeating it. So I don't mean just repeating it. They're kind of, one of my friends here just says, good morning from a S, and the word that Trump uses. So, and that's the effect the president has. He puts it out like that, and then people pick up on it, and they just kind of see it as being okay because the president says it. Some young kid might say, "You live in a what begins with an S," and because of what Adrian just said, I'm just going to deal with it that way. I'm not going to keep saying the bad word over and over again. That's just not what that should be done. Certainly, heck, I can't. I'm not going to do it just because he did it. I'm kind of doing it myself. President says it, and all of a sudden I'm reporting on it, saying the same thing. I'm certainly not going to type it out there. I could type it and put it out there, but I'm not going to do that. And if I have enough sense not to do it, you would think the president of the United States has a sense not to say and do it. He just, as I said, when people say, well, has the president started the early stage dementia process? At first, I didn't really think so until I kind of read some of this stuff. Because even if you felt that way, as a smart politician, why would you say it unless you're a little bit unbalanced? If you're a little bit unbalanced, I can understand why you might say something like that. Why in your mind you can kind of think that it's funny or it's going to have some kind of positive effect out there. But even the guys who would be in your cheering corner, they're not really, first a small number, but even them, they're kind of saying it under their breath. Yeah, he's saying he's speaking for us or whatever they might be saying, because a smart politician would not be using those kind of words out there. And now, as I kind of reflect on it, I'm not going to be doing it either. I mean, I'm not going to be repeating what he said. I wouldn't do it normally. That's not even a word I normally use. That's kind of, I don't think most people use that word. That's kind of an uncommon phrase to refer to something. But Trump is 71, and maybe his generation, that was kind of a word that you used to diminish a country or diminish a person's home or dwelling or something like that. But it's not something that you see very often. I see here where the CNN, Chris Cuomo, has come out and said, we're all from countries like that, where America started. And he's certainly very true about that, and that's one of the things that Trump needs to think about, and when he just says these things off the cuff, and he has this thing where he refuses to apologize. Why not say, I'm sorry, I may have chosen the wrong way to express myself. I may have chosen the wrong turn of a little stronger than what I meant. But he has this thing of never apologize. It is always wrong to apologize. And that's not the case. It is not always. It is a sign of strength to me to say, hey, look, that's on me. I was wrong. To me, that's a sign of strength of who you are. Not some admission of error. You can't ever apologize and all that. You can't ever say, I'm sorry. You can't ever be wrong. How he does that, well, it's worked for him, I guess. He's been able to take his father's money and sustain it. And he's ridden his way of doing things all the way to the White House, which is just still to me shocking. It's not shocking to me that there would be a Republican president, but it is shocking to me that the Republican would be him, of the people that were available. But I'm still looking for some more comments. We had a lot of comments today, and we actually had one of our people actually brave enough to click on that link. There's still time left if you want to click on that link and join me this morning. We're happy to have you. Happy to talk to you about whatever you might want to talk about, whether it's health or health insurance. Because there's a lot of talk about Obamacare still, whether this tax bill really killed Obamacare, and people have come back and said, no, it hasn't. And just, if you're interested in the tax stuff, as I said, there are people like Fred, who I know. I'm glad to see that Fred's watching, who both a CPA and an attorney in his former life, and is doing things. He's an enrolled tax preparer now, and doing things in that whole arena. And I forget, maybe it's Quicken or something. He writes their stuff, that Quicken or Intuit, one of those entities. So I know he's thought of highly enough where he's writing technical documents for those guys, or technical articles. So people like that we can bring on board. I'm glad to hear that Fred's watching, because we've known each other through a number of experiences. So if you, next week, if you're wondering, Lord willing, from 6 to 9, I will be here Monday through Friday. And I'm still looking for some help. On who I might be able to invite for Martin Luther King Day. Some people who you might think would be good that you'd like to hear from, or wonder what's happening with them, whoever it might be. Because again, this is kind of a global show. If you've got internet, you can see us, and anywhere in the world. And if I have a contact or relationship, I'll see what they're doing. Next week I've got a person coming on from Africa. Who's talking about fitness. She runs a fitness operation over in Africa. She has a very, very nice facility from the pictures I've seen, and she'll be talking about that. And it says here, I got a comment from Adrian that Adrian says that she would be interested in the tax bill. So maybe I can get either Fred or one of my other accounting friends to come on here and help me. We go back and forth talking about the tax bill and how it's going to affect you. I was talking to a friend of mine who's an accountant, and he said he's gone from being boring to being very popular because of the tax bill. That people are asking him what to do about things and how it's going to affect them on a personal level. And it's just made him very popular. Now accountants are popular. Normally CPAs and stuff, we aren't popular. Working as a public accountant was my first job out of college. As I mentioned earlier, I majored in economics and political science and minored in accounting when I was in college, and took enough accounting courses, took all the accounting courses actually, and set for the CPA exam. Fred, when I said we've gone through a number of experiences, he was in some of my accounting courses, all of them, because how it is, once you make the decision, the advanced courses, only the serious committed folks stay with it. We're going to see it all the way. And, Fred was one of those people who was in class, along with a number of folks who've gone on to work for places like the IRS, and, gone on to become chief financial officers of other major companies and all that kind of stuff. I left college, and with the help of one of my professors, then I got a job at Pete Mark Mitchell, which I had never expected. But this professor took an interest in me, and that really was the door opener to my career. And I thank God for him, because it really made a major difference. I can kind of see his face in my mind's eye. He probably looks much different now, but I was kind of locked on him when he was in college, and I kind of hear his voice. So, but the bottom line is that I went into public accounting because of him. And, and Fred, who was, I know, a very smart accountant, is somebody I'll speak to about if he's willing to come on air and talk a little bit about the tax bill, maybe take your questions. Because the good thing is you don't physically have to come here. You just kind of click on that link, boom, you're in the show, and we can bring more people in, is my hope, that way, since they don't have to physically kind of do what I do. As I mentioned, I'm like out the bed 3:15 in the morning, shower, get myself together, out the door by 4, get a little snack on the way in here, here by 5, trying to get the computers up. And usually there's a challenge somewhere along the line with that. But this morning was so cool until, the broadcast started dropping for no reason. Like now, no drops. Why? I can't tell you. It was like drop 3 times, and then it stops. Yeah, I can't really tell you. It's just something with the airwaves, something with the technology, but those kind of things happen, and you just kind of have to kind of go with the flow and continue to just let the show go on. The good thing is, even when I'm broadcasting, it's kind of outside of the screen. I can kind of see it, but like 2 computers on my left and 1 computer on my right, and they're all broadcasting. and they're broadcasting to different places. So that's kind of the challenge of it. And there's like an order of how I have to start them. So that one links into the other and all that. So that was very interesting, being able to tweak some of the software and the hardware arrangements and all that kind of stuff. If you're a techie, if you're a guy that enjoys doing that, and I do, I have to say, and I thank God, for just the ability to kind of do it, because it would take so much time if I had to involve other people, and that's kind of the whole business thing. Talk a little bit about it. And plus, from the entrepreneur's perspective, I'm happy there's some entrepreneurs out there that I definitely like to have on the show and chew the fat. I'm going to reach out to one of my friends from MIT and see if he'd be willing to come on and share some of his views on entrepreneurship. And, there are others. Some of you at MIT know who I'm talking about, the great instructor out there. I don't want to mention his name without putting him on the spot without actually having talked to him. So don't want to really do that. But I do plan to reach out to him. He's a great guy. And maybe some others, like plus other entrepreneurs can come on and kind of talk about things and the challenges of being an entrepreneur. So we want to do that. And then some lawyers, how do you get a good lawyer? There's some great lawyers out there, and I've known some fantastic ones. I've known some that I wouldn't trust alone with my dog. I have a dog. I wouldn't trust, I got a cat. I wouldn't trust alone with my cat, because they're just so low. But so, there are both kinds out there. There are kinds that will take, there are guys out there strictly for the purpose of taking all your money. And there are guys out there who, won't even use your money. You give them a retainer, they won't even go against it until they do something. Some guys feel like, they want to bill you every month, whether they do something or not. So I hope to bring lawyers in, all kinds of professions, because I've dealt with so many people that hopefully that I can share some of that internal knowledge of how to deal with professionals and deal with lawyers. Some lawyers, what I call lawyers and professionals, they're what I call trappers and skinners. Guys that bring in the business but really don't know how to do a whole lot with it. And then there are guys who don't have the talents necessary to bring in a whole lot of business with a personality, but they're the ones who actually do it and know the business, love the business. In the case of a lawyer, they might be a lawyer, love the law. And I talk a little bit about that actually in my Chapman Company storybook and some of my experience with trappers and skinners out there and kind of knowing the difference between them. So I want to thank you all. We're kind of closing in. We've kind of made it. We've made it. This is the 5th day of the first week, and we have made it. Oh, look at this. Look at this. I got a comment from Fred before we leave. It says, Nate, your comments are too generous. Thank you. I just got back from running a Disney marathon. I saw your posts. Sometime this week or next, I'll be happy to link to your show. Thank you, my friend. Look at it. And Fred, in addition to being an extremely smart person, is also a great athlete. And he's been doing these marathons for some time. And when you're our age and you're still out there running those marathons, I mean, that is something to speak to, the kind of strength that you have, the kind of person that you are. One day, Fred, I hope to join you on one of these. So, and I'll take you up when coming in and talking about the tax. But getting back to it, we have made it. This is our 5th day of the first week. We're going Monday through Friday. The whole 6 to 9 in the morning capture in this time zone was something that's unique. The whole talk, the comments, the people who come on the show. I'm happy we made it, and I thank you all. And please come back Monday whenever you can between that 6 to 9 period. We're going to try to make it interesting. Come on board, be a part of the family, and come on and just help me out. And I'm trying to help you with what I know. And I just what you got to know is I enjoy people. And I enjoy talking to people. So don't hesitate to come on. As I said, I struck up a conversation with a guy at the deli this morning, just talking about the show and various things. So thank you and have a fantastic day. Stay fired up and ready to go. Channel that inner Obama, fired up, ready to go, fired up, ready to go. That's how I do it. And before I even start the show, if you can imagine.